Salutations! Welcome to Pod Mortem. I'm Travis Hunter, joined as always by my co-host, my sister, and my brother-in-law.
Hi, I'm Reneé Hunter Vasquez.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
This week, we're broadcasting live from WIQZ in Salem, Massachusetts, discussing the 2012 supernatural horror film, The Lords of Salem. This film was written and directed by Rob Zombie. Following his high-profile Halloween duology, Zombie sought to expand on a long-gestating idea for something new and original. With a low budget, full creative control, interesting cinematography and art direction, and a cast of horror icons and zombie mainstays, The Lords of Salem provides an atmospheric experience unlike anything else in Zombie's filmography. While it received mixed reviews from critics, the film has achieved a growing cult status among horror fans. So, The Lords of Salem. What were your first impressions on the film?
So I had never seen this movie or heard about it or anything until I think you brought it up, T.
Oh, okay.
So this is a little different than the other two that I've watched, or I guess before it.
Yeah.
In a better way.
Okay.
In a better way. Not by much, but
I was like, you were really struggling.
Yeah, I know.
it was okay.
Okay.
It was okay. It was better than, for me anyway. For me, in my opinion, it was better than House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects.
Okay.
This was better. But I don't know, man. Every time it had me, it like yeeted me right back to where it was a little up and down for me, and I think the downs hurt it a little more than the ups.
Okay. The funny thing is we normally kind of, before we start recording, have like a little rudimentary talk about, whether we liked or didn't like the film.
Yeah.
We did not do that today.
We didn't.
And I just realized after I had asked what you guys thought of it, and I was like, oh, this is going to could go either way. But that's intriguing to me.
Yeah.
I had never seen it before either. I had heard of it because you, T, like it.
Uh-huh.
Or you were like, it's better.
Yes.
And I think that's a fair consensus. I do agree that it's better. Comparing it solely to films that we've covered, to Rob Zombie films that we've covered.
Right.
House of a Thousand Corpses kind of felt like a fever dream.
Uh-huh.
The Devil's Rejects had a story, had a narrative, but we took these kind of wild pit stops along the way. It was still like the dialogue did not really do it for me. We're rooting for these horrible fucking people. This one has a cohesive story.
Right.
It has lore. I mean, it feels like, I don't want to say he grew up a little bit because I don't mean that in a condescending way, but this feels more even, like a more mature film. I wish that, and John Paul and I talked about this a little bit last night.
Uh-huh.
I wish I cared a little bit more about the characters.
Very
I feel
fair.
like he's really lacking because this is the first that I've seen, and I've never seen Halloween 2. I've not seen the original Halloween in over a decade of Rob Zombie's.
Right.
This is the first film I've seen where we're dealing with characters that aren't like cartoon characters.
Exactly, yeah.
And so I feel like when you're dealing with these huge, larger than life characters, you don't necessarily need to make us feel anything for them because they're constantly in their character the whole movie. When you deal with real people, I kind of got to give a shit, you know what I mean? And I feel like he's a little lacking there.
Yes.
But visually, there are some really beautiful things. Like I was truly impressed.
Yeah.
There are a couple, I'll say one visual aspect in particular didn't care for it. We'll get to it. I paused it and was like,
right.
I'm sorry. But yeah, this is definitely for me a step up. And I feel like when we covered House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, I'm so deeply nostalgic for those that it's almost like there's a pass, not a full pass because we still have plenty to say, but there's a pass for what you found funny or acceptable at whatever age and what I'm going to find as a 33-year-old today. This did not conflict me in that way. I will say that, and I do appreciate that. But there's one character in particular or one actor that I was very thrilled to see. I feel like they did not get enough to do.
I will agree.
And just elephant in the room, Sherry Moon Zombie. her best work yet.
Yes.
She's not amazing, but she's never going to be. And I don't mean that in a shitty way. She's not Toni Collette. We're not going to get that from her ever.
Well, from what we researched in the past was that she had never even really wanted to be
right.
an actress.
Stop making her.
But no.
Stop. But this is the best I've ever seen her. Ever.
I think the thing with really any actor is you have to cast them for the right role.
Yes.
Right.
And what I understand from watching this film about Sherry Moon is that she can play real people fairly decently.
Right.
Okay.
It's these over-the-top characters that just don't work.
Yeah.
Personally, because I know a lot of people love her portrayal of Baby Firefly, but I think that this, again, I agree, is her best work. Performance-wise.
There were things in The Devil's Rejects that she said, and I feel like she was a little more grounded in The Devil's Rejects than she was in House of a Thousand Corpses.
She was.
But that made me physically cringe when I was rewatching it for the show. I didn't feel that way watching her here.
No.
She did not blow me away. She wasn't amazing, but it was fine. But it was fine.
Everything's a bit more realistic in this.
Yes.
Despite the supernatural
stuff.
No, that stuff's realistic.
Okay, well, I wasn't there. I can't. As you had said earlier, I really do enjoy this movie a lot.
All right.
The first time I watched it, though, I was like, this is the worst Rob Zombie movie. Granted, it was like 2012, so he'd only made like 4 or 5
You're
films.
like, this is no House of a Thousand Corpses, right?
Let's, who am I talking to? But I rewatched it in my 20s, and I was like, holy shit. And I think that comes from more of an understanding of other directors.
Right.
Rob Zombie said in an interview that to him, The Lords of Salem is like if Ken Russell directed The Shining, which is very fair. I don't know if you guys have seen anything from Ken Russell.
I don't think so.
I've seen one film of his called The Devils, and it's fucking wild. I'll just put it that way. It was on Shudder for a little bit, but then it got taken off. But it's not. Roger Ebert gave it 0 stars.
No way. What?
Yeah. So that's fun. But it's weird in a way that a lot of Lords of Salem is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever I watch Lords of Salem, I kind of get the vibes of Kubrick, Argento, Carpenter, and Lynch.
Damn.
Kind of put into a blender.
Okay.
With Rob Zombie as like a seasoning.
I was going to say with some hot sauce.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie hot sauce.
Which honestly, I think that to me, it feels like the names that I mentioned, it's kind of tailor-made for me to like it.
Yeah.
I kind of had no choice.
Yeah, there you go.
It does feel very much unlike his other films, as I said in my intro, which I don't mean to sound as negative as...
Yeah, that's what I was like, it's hard to even like put into words because it's like this weird like... I don't want to say love-hate relationship, but like kind of.
Yeah. Well, I think because we know what Rob Zombie's capable of, and when we don't get it, we're like, what the fuck? Because I know how we all felt about 3 from Hell.
Right.
Which we'll get to when they just sighed.
I'm still upset.
But I know we'll get to that in the future. Same with his Halloween films. But this to me, I think, and then of course there's the fascination with Salem witch trials.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And witchcraft that just kind of speaks to our interests.
Yeah.
And so I will, it's not perfect.
No, it's not.
There are some problems I have. A lot of it, I think the thing for me is that there's a lot of really good imagery, and then there's a lot of imagery that doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of mining that and trying to find,
And there's that one piece of imagery.
Holy shit. I did want to talk about how this project came to be, though, because it honestly surprised me to learn that it was kind of gestating before he even took on Halloween. Which was 2007.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
For fans of Rob Zombie's music, the album Educated Horses has a song called The Lords of Salem, and that came out in 2006. And so
damn, yeah.
that could be, kind of the building blocks of it. But according to Deadline, after he had made both of his Halloween films, and I guess the studio pressure that he got, because what he was supposed to do after Halloween 2 was the Blob remake. And he's like, you know what? I don't think
you know what?
I don't want to do it.
I'm not going to lie. There is a part of me that kind of wants to.
No.
I
don't
want
do that
blob.
to the Blob.
The Blob's like, get the fuck out of the fucking way.
You motherfucker, tutti fucking fruity or whatever. Whatever it is. But he would eventually drop that idea in favor of something original. And so he had started writing The Lords of Salem and then kind of shelved it. And it wasn't until Jason Blum.
No way.
Yeah. He came up.
Said low budget?
Guess what?
What's that?
Just pushed his books apart, came off the shelf.
I'm sorry.
I heard you want to make a movie.
And of course, that was the first thing he said. He's like, the budget is low.
Yeah.
But all he gave Rob Zombie is like, we just want something with a supernatural bend. Outside of that, you have complete creative control.
That is cool.
Very cool.
That's something that we complain about a lot.
Uh-huh.
That people aren't given that full control.
Right.
So it's like, some people, it's just what you do with it.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like it makes me think about his other films because it's like, well, what would it have been if you had full? What would have been the difference? Because he talks a lot about his Halloween movies where the Weinsteins fucking micromanaged and forced shit on him and stuff. And I don't really like his Halloween movies. But one thing I will say is that the low budget was good for him, but it was also difficult because they had 22 days of production and there were fucking issues aplenty.
Jeez.
And we'll get into them.
Nothing.
No, not at all. And again, for what came out of those 22 days, it's pretty
impressive.
good. Whenever he introduced it at a film festival, he said 50% of you will love this, 50% of you will hate this, and that's okay. That's one thing I respect about Rob Zombie is he is not one that gives a shit.
Right. And you got it. I feel like when you are as bold as to make the things that he makes, you have to be that way because that there's people that maybe even the majority are not going to fucking like this.
True. And I don't have that in me at all, dude.
No,
I can.
I'm working on it.
Now, before we curse this film, we would like to issue a warning for spoilers. Pod Mortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you don't wish to be spoiled, please go watch the film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, let's play the record. So the film begins with opening credits intercut with shots of Heidi LaRocque, played by Sherry Moon Zombie, riding passenger in a car.
I don't mean to already interrupt.
All right.
The dreads are a lot.
I'm surprised to hear you.
I didn't appreciate them.
It was a choice.
It was a very.
I'm glad I'm not
choice.
the only one that felt that.
It was
way,
a very strange choice.
I think they had to do something to make her look different than Baby.
Just don't.
But I don't know if that was what.
That wasn't it. That wasn't it.
Yeah.
The glasses were enough. I'd say.
The glasses did it. The tattoos did it.
Yeah.
I like the tattoos. I like the glasses. The hair wasn't it.
Well, we're going to be seeing it a lot.
We'll get used to it.
But she fights falling asleep as a voice on the radio waxes on about the idea that a person who experiences pleasure has a diminished desire of inflicting or experiencing pain. Now, I will say this radio broadcast does come up later in the film as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything.
No.
means absolutely nothing. Some stuff in this film is just stuff.
Got it.
Yeah.
That happens to be in this film. And I think that's my thing. I love a lot of what is here, but then there's some stuff that it's like, hey, what if we clearly.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's him though.
True, and this is a very small example of that.
Yeah.
Because there's some we will talk.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to that. But we flash back to 1696 in Salem, Massachusetts, getting a close-up shot of a black goat before fading into an old book of thick pages lit only by candlelight.
Not Black Phillip.
I know, right? The goat was played by a goat called Noodles. I don't know.
Oh, nice. All right.
I don't know where you get noodles for a goat. Maybe it's his favorite food.
Oh, that's so cute.
Can goats eat noodles?
Sure.
Yeah, I think goats can eat anything.
They eat cans.
Oh, yeah, they eat like metal and shit.
Is that all right?
When one of my little sisters, she used to have a goat when she was small, and the goat's name was Betsy.
Really?
Yeah.
A human name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
goat thought it was a dog.
Oh.
Should have been named Goattrude.
Nay?
I'm off
You were
the
saying
table.
too.
How long have you been sitting on that? Like, when I get a pet goat, I swear to God, I'm going to fucking swing. But Reverend John Hawthorne, played by Andrew Prine, writes with an ink-dipped pen. He states that as he writes these very words, the witch, Margaret Morgan, gathers in the woods surrounding Salem with a coven of 6. He says their blasphemous music echoes in his mind and drives him insane, but he vows before God to destroy anyone who pledges allegiance to Satan and his spectral army.
Yeah, that's the blasphemous music.
They're just playing Hellbilly Deluxe. So one thing I do want to say is that this already with this opening, I'm kind of hooked in already. When it comes to the Salem witch trials,
Yeah.
I will say they do play fast and loose with time.
Right.
Because to my understanding, the witch trials were 1692 to 1693, and then it kind of just fizzled out after that. This is 1696.
Yeah.
Why though? Just to get the extra 6 in there or what?
It
I'm
doesn't
sure.
hurt.
Like that
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt.
I will also say I did do a lot of reading on this film, and I also did watch the film with commentary. And on commentary, Rob Zombie explained that the character of John Hawthorne was supposed to be played by an actor called Richard Lynch. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, whenever they got to set and were ready to film, he had apparently become very ill. And so whenever they were filming, he was forgetting his lines. He didn't know exactly what motivations of the character. And it kind of just became a bit of an issue that kind of expanded so much that they had to cut him from the film entirely.
That's so sad.
And so Andrew Prine is actually playing a character called Judge Mather, but because of Lynch's health.
Had to shift it over.
Yes. And so John Hawthorne is now Andrew Prine's character. Judge Mather doesn't even exist. And it is kind of unfortunate because there are characters later that matter with Judge Mather and a few other characters, but had to be shrunk down and cut because of
Damn.
that unfortunate,
right.
you know.
Right.
But interestingly, there was a novelization of The Lords of Salem released, and I did read it. And it's based on the original script, and
All
so
right.
I can kind of fill in
Oh, all
Is
right.
it good?
some of the blanks. It wasn't bad. It was not bad. I was kind of surprised. There's a lot of things that don't make it into the film that are quite gruesome, quite grisly.
That I had read that it was supposed to be way like more bloody and rough
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
than it ends up being.
That's fair.
accurate.
Yeah, because there's some stuff later that we'll talk. It goes there. But it did kind of remind me a bit of The Fog in how they went back and reshot some stuff so that they could make sense of the beginning.
Yeah.
All right.
They kind of did the same thing here, and I thought, I mean, he can't escape Carpenter if he tried. But in those very woods, Margaret Morgan, played by Meg Foster, stands before her coven, a sigil smudged on her forehead. She pleads in the name of Satan for the ruler of the earth and the king of the world to open the gates of hell and come forth from his blessed abyss.
I was like, oh, these aren't baseless accusations. Like we're really, y'all are really doing that shit.
I think that was
I was like, all right.
that's what caught me off
Just
guard.
immediately.
Because like the tragedy of the Salem witch trials is it was all false accusations,
Yeah.
Right.
but they're like, we love Satan. I was like, oh,
Okay.
cool, dude.
I'm here for it.
Would this be the same Dr. Satan or is this?
Oh.
This is before he went to school.
Yeah.
So this is-
all right.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was no respect yet.
No,
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 not
no,
yet,
All
not
right.
yet.
He's
I
just-
mean respect, but not
not bad.
respect.
Just
Yeah.
regular citizen Satan. But the surrounding coven begins to chant, "All hail, unholy father." Abigail Hennessy, played by Bonita Friedrichs, pledges to be a faithful servant of Lucifer. Sarah Easter, played by Flo Lawrence, swears mind, body, and soul to the designs of his lord Satan. Martha Bishop, played by Susan Gray, vows to trample on the cross, and Elizabeth Jacobs, played by Suzanne Voss, implores them to spit on the book of lies. Margaret watches from the pulpit as Mary Webster, played by Bryn Horrocks, says that she's ready to abandon this mortal existence and deny Jesus Christ, the deceiver of mankind.
Damn.
No,
I
it
was
seems
like
like a lot.
Yeah, I was like, y'all really mean this. Like, we're really.
She said it with more stank than the others.
She did, yeah.
Like, she even looked down like, did that come from me? It was a lot.
It's caught up in the moment.
I didn't know if you recognized her, but Bryn Horrocks played Abigail Whitman on Mad Men.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so
Very cool.
She stays being kind of villainous. But Margaret tells her coven to prepare to desecrate their false bodies before ordering them all to show themselves. In unison, they all disrobe and stand naked before the fire, screaming and howling into the night.
I was like, I knew this was going to end with y'all getting naked. Like, I knew that was... If I have body issues, can I still praise Satan with the shawl on?
A shawl?
Like, we have to get naked.
We got to desecrate these false bodies.
It's like a prerequisite for all the spooky shit.
I feel like, first of all, I don't think that any of them
care.
Yeah, no. It's literally not about that. And also in 1692, I doubt that false fucking like body image ideas.
Unrealistic standards of beauty did not exist
in 1696. Not at all. I did want to point out, they said in commentary that this was shot at Sable Ranch, which is in California, which is the same place they shot a lot of the Devil's Rejects.
All right.
But Rob Zombie said that the issue is that the days are like blistering hot and the nights are like below freezing.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
And so they're out there naked.
Yeah.
And they said that they did these scenes over and over again until they couldn't even get the lines out because they were so cold.
Oh.
What the fuck?
Yeah. He said they were troopers, but it's like, maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
Again,
Why did you make him do it that much?
I don't know.
Directed by Sam Raimi.
I guess. But they chant together. We desecrate the virgin whore. We blaspheme upon the Holy Spirit, and we rejoice in his suffering. They all burst into laughter, hugging and joining hands in a circle around the flames. Seems like a great time.
It does.
But Gertrude watches them from afar.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
no problem. I've marinated on it. I actually like it a lot.
Thank you. Because I was met with utter silence.
Yeah, well, we had to digest it.
It was ahead of its time. I understand.
Yeah,
I
no,
understand.
Sure.
almost like this. Almost like this film, I'd say. But with a shot of Gertrude, we get the title, "The Lords of Salem."
I'm with the goat. I wasn't very impressed either, and the goat didn't look.
The goat didn't look impressed.
Yeah, the goat did not look.
Well,
This
but
shit again.
I mean,
you guys have been practicing this for 200 years,
and this is the best.
and this is what. Come on.
I will say I don't take a goat's opinion into account because they do eat cans, and I personally
But they live deliciously. Cans might be fucking great.
Yeah,
like,
we
we
don't
don't
know.
know.
do we have to try cans now?
You can't knock it until you try. It's a new tier on Patreon.
Yeah. We'll eat a
try
can.
cans.
But back in present day, we get the title card, Monday. So this is one of several nods to The Shining.
Okay.
I did catch that, and I did appreciate it.
Me too.
I feel like a lot of his, I guess, homages are a bit on the heavy-handed side.
Uh-huh.
This one, I guess, could be construed as heavy-handed, but I liked it.
No, I didn't mind it. I will say I appreciate more when the creator kind of acknowledges it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did throughout all the interviews he did. He talked about The Shining. He talked about all these things.
Yeah.
And that to me is where,
That makes the difference.
exactly. When you're just like, oh, no, I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all me. Nobody ever did that. No, not one of the most classic horror films of all time.
Yeah.
No.
I enjoyed it because this movie is like there's a lot going on. So I enjoyed it because it gave me a time frame.
Right.
That's
Like, I
a
was
really
like,
good
okay,
point.
I know what. Okay, that was the other day. Okay, it's like, all right, so shit is getting worse as it goes.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives this sense of like we're counting down to something.
Yes,
like
yeah,
it's also
yeah.
like this foreboding.
That too, yeah.
Yeah.
What's coming. If today's Monday, like where are we going?
Yeah.
And the thing that's very interesting is they like mix and match a lot of scenes in editing later on. And the fact that they still maintain and respect this timeline.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we pan across buildings on a modern street in Salem, Massachusetts, settling in on a white 3-story apartment on the corner. So a lot of these exteriors were actually shot in Salem.
All right.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I unfortunately have never been, but the whole way that this place looks, I love.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought this was a real place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Confirmed.
Yes. They did say, I think a lot of the interiors are shot on sets in California.
Okay.
And there are a couple of exteriors in California, but the way that it mixes, I could not tell.
No.
There are some scenes where they switch from California to Salem like
Wow.
nothing.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
See, and that's pretty
It looked good.
masterful.
Yeah.
Like it's like you know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what gets me about this film is it's like more of that, dude.
You know what it is? It's like when your kid's doing homework and you know that they know what they're doing, but they're just being lazy.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, you know this. You just don't want to. That's what this feels like.
Rob Zombie's a 57-year-old man.
Pick up your pencil. Take a little break, get right back to it.
Drink your juice. But inside her bedroom, Heidi is fast asleep, face down, and nude in bed.
We're not even 5 minutes in.
No.
We've seen the ass. So check.
The ass.
The ass. You know.
Well, it's a Rob Zombie film.
Literally. It's a character in itself.
Yeah, it gets its own credit. It's,
Yes.
But her room is dimly lit by bright cube nightstands, kind of reminiscent of the Korova Milk Bar in A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was kind of neat. More Kubrick, of course. But on her wall is a mural of the man in the moon from Méliès's 1902 film, A Trip to the Moon.
I loved that.
Yeah.
I really like her whole apartment, the aesthetic
Seriously.
of it. I think it's very cool. I will say, though, I did kind of chuckle out loud because we see her asleep in the bed. Of course, her ass is out.
Of course.
We kind of look around the room and then we get like a close up of her ass.
Yeah, we do.
And I was like, that was for Lala. Like, that was specifically.
Well, it made me laugh because it was one of those things where it's like, okay, we got the wide shot.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, we need.
Listen.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it the first time.
Did you
Here it is
see
again.
the shot list this morning?
It just made me laugh because I'm like, he literally can't help himself.
No, he cannot.
I don't know that we see it again.
We do.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We do.
All right.
We do.
He can't help himself.
One thing I will say, because what I took from this in her decor is kind of saying that Heidi is connected to the past in some way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, very vintage. And then that is the first sci-fi film, Trip to the Moon. So,
I mean,
yeah.
Right.
you know, and that is interesting.
Yeah.
We'll say. Rob Zombie saw it more as, I guess, the surreal nature of A Trip to the Moon, kind of mirroring the surreal nature of what we're about to see.
Have you seen that
A long
film?
time ago.
It is pretty fucking wild.
I know the
Like
moon.
they were doing the most.
He gets mashed in the eye,
He does get mashed in the eye.
which seems unfortunate, but Heidi's alarm goes off, which frightens her awake, and we hear Blinded by the Light by Manfred Mann playing lowly. From her nightstands, Blinded by the Light is also how she sleeps, but it's fine. I will say, like, I have an alarm clock that you can set the brightness on, and if it's even like a little bit over the lowest, I can't.
Yeah.
So I don't know
it's
how the
too
fuck
much.
it looks great, the room,
Yeah.
but I could not
But you're
sleep
like
here.
practically.
Yeah, no, none of that. But Heidi puts on her glasses, slides across the bed, and throws some clothes on. As she heads into the hall, Troy, her dog, played by Troy, the dog, gets up from his little dog bed in the corner and follows her out.
Troy is no mushroom,
No,
but he's very cute.
your devotion to mushroom
Mushroom.
is unwavering.
And I'm a cat person.
Yeah, I know.
fucking love that dog.
That just shows how good that dog is. But after petting him for a moment, she heads to the bathroom and doesn't really seem very pleased by her own reflection in the mirror. She goes, Jesus, which is very relatable.
She saw the dreads. I don't blame her.
Like, this is what we settled on?
Rob, fucking
Really?
God damn.
But as she sits down on the toilet to start her morning routines, the camera cuts to the hall outside of her apartment, slowly pulling back as a light swings slightly overhead. Heidi snags the newspaper from outside, but peers down the hallway and notices a silhouette of a person standing in the doorway of a neighboring apartment. She tries to introduce herself as her neighbor in apartment 2, asking if they're the new tenant, but the figure just slams the door instead. Heidi takes it in stride, but the camera presses in on their apartment door, apartment number 5.
That was clearly some kind of ghoul. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was still rude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I don't care what the fuck
like-
you are.
yeah, come on.
Yeah, ghoul or no, you're not doing that shit to me.
Yeah, don't
You got to live next to me.
give me a grunt or a moan
Yeah,
or something.
something.
Just out.
a
All right.
wave.
Yeah.
A wave.
Or a whale. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Acknowledge me.
I did want to point out the doors are painted very shiny black.
Mm-hmm.
Reminded me a lot of the Tans Academy in Suspiria.
Okay.
That's one of very many Argento kind of feelings
All right.
in this film. But I did want to call out the production designer, a woman called Jennifer Spence. She's done a lot of projects produced by Jason Blum.
Okay.
She's also done stuff in the Conjuring universe. She did Annabelle Creation.
Oh, nice.
And she did. She was the art director for Insidious.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I think that she does a lot of great work.
Yeah.
A lot of shit is very tricky in this film because of the way that they were with the budget.
Uh-huh.
This hall leads to nowhere.
Right.
Really. The apartment door for Heidi's apartment actually leads to like a broom closet.
All right.
And so when you see her opening it and coming out of it, she's really just
In the
going
closet. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
But you would
That's
never-
so smart, though.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty well done.
And I love the look of the hallway. I love the wallpaper.
Oh,
I
man.
love the light fixtures.
Yeah.
Like I really love the look of it.
I would like to live here. Maybe not here.
Not on that floor though.
But, especially with a neighbor that rude.
Yeah.
But at her dining table, Heidi takes some medication while listening to the news on the radio. We get an overhead shot of her living quarters as she reads the paper that she retrieved earlier. I did like, there's something about this film, they repurpose certain shots later from similar angles, but use them in different contexts. And but what I mean by that is they're kind of thoughtful in a way that they're priming you for scares later,
All right.
which again is a very interesting direction. You don't really think that with Rob Zombie's
No,
films.
and the restraint
Yes.
Yeah.
and the patience. Like
Yeah.
I'm really impressed by it.
Some of these shots go on for a long time.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people think that the film is very slow. Some people say it's too slow. I think it's an attempt at being more methodical,
Right. Right.
because a lot of his other films, it's like really shaky, like handheld.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And I'm not a fan of that, really. I mean, it kind of works sometimes when Otis is like beating the shit out of fucking... but for every shot, it gets like...
Yeah.
But this, it's like...
I'm like, I'm tired.
Yeah, dude. Give me a headache, Rob. But this works for this, is all I'll say.
Yeah.
But downstairs, Lacey Doyle, the landlady played by Judy Geeson, checks her mailbox and leafs through the envelopes. Lacey greets Heidi as she walks downstairs with Troy, Heidi admitting that she's off to a slow start this morning. She then remarks to Lacey that it looks like she was finally able to rent apartment number 5, but Lacey says that she hasn't. She says that the price is right, but for whatever reason, no one wants it.
Weird.
Yeah.
What do you mean by the right price? I could relocate. What's the right price?
What's fucking like ridiculous to me in the novel, Heidi tells her coworker that we'll meet later that she was offered her apartment for $300 a month.
Get the
Damn.
And she said she couldn't pass it up, obviously.
Yeah.
But that also comes with a lot of interesting, like,
Yeah.
Right.
why is it $300 a month? And we'll learn.
Does that give you like Rosemary's Baby vibes?
Absolutely. So I guess you can throw that in here as well.
Yeah.
Because honestly, later on, it does get very Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
But very confused, Heidi tells Lacey what happened this morning, that she saw someone standing in the apartment and that she said hello and they slammed the door in her face. Bit of an exaggeration.
Ocean rudeness. Yeah, it wasn't in
Yeah.
her face. It was still rude.
It was still rude. I'll allow it.
Sometimes you just got to add the hot sauce. They
You do.
pushed me out of the way
Yeah.
and then slammed
You
the
don't-
door. I almost
do
broke
that.
my arm.
But Lacey admits that it is strange and says that she'll check it out if it'll make Heidi feel better. And then the two-part company with Heidi taking the dog outside for a walk and Lacey heading upstairs.
That already bugged me. If I were Heidi
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, I literally saw a human standing there and they slammed the door on me. And she's like, oh, no, it's not. I mean, if it'll make you feel better, I saw
No,
that.
yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
would be more concerned, did somebody break in and they're squatting?
Yeah.
Than, oh, Heidi's fucking hallucinating. Like, that already, I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah,
that
none
would
of-
have made me mad.
None of this has to be supernatural yet.
No, it could literally just
Just
be a person squatting in
yeah.
the apartment.
Which also, if you're squatting in an apartment, maybe do it a little more quietly. I don't know.
Slam doors in people's faces.
Yeah.
Less slammy, more squatting. I don't know.
I don't know. That's their motto. I don't. But Lacey does go upstairs to check the doorknob of apartment number 5, but it's locked as it should be.
I was like, that's your idea of
Yeah.
checking it. All good here. It's
Yeah.
like, you have keys.
That's
Go
true.
inside.
You own this place.
Yes.
I will say that there is a very nice piano track that plays here.
Yeah.
I actually like the music throughout this movie.
It is. Yes, it is good.
It was done by John Five and Griffin Boyce. Everybody who knows me knows I love John Five.
Yes.
He was actually Rob Zombie's guitarist at the time. I think he's one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Mm-hmm. Very oddly, when I started the script, he still was Rob Zombie's guitarist, and he no longer is.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Did
he
you
was-
curse them?
No. Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Oh my God. What are the fucking odds?
What happened, I guess, because he was in Rob Zombie's band for 17 years. and Mick Mars retired from Motley Crue, and they recruited John Five to be their new live guitarist.
Damn.
So I don't know.
Right.
It is great for John Five, very
Yeah.
upsetting for me and Rob Zombie. We can kind of commiserate on that one.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what he'll want to talk to you about if y'all meet each other.
Oh God. Look, I've got enough
Him
beef.
and Steven Spielberg are just waiting in an alley
Look,
with like a sack full of pennies.
I have apologized profusely enough. I feel like I don't have to get my ass kicked by everybody.
This was, and I know we've already talked about it a little bit, but this was the point in my notes where I was like, having Sherry Moon Zombie play a normal human being is definitely the move.
Yes.
Because she's doing fine.
Uh-huh.
I feel like already at this point, and either of the other films, I'm like, ooh. Like,
Well, I mean, everything just feels, I think that's the thing about this film that I like so much is that it feels very subdued. And it kind of works for everyone. There's really nothing over the top. Well, there is a few things that are over the top. I'm not going to say.
There's one, I would say, well, a group of over the top characters, but they embody it well.
Yes. Dude, Meg Foster.
Yeah, she fucking kills it.
Yeah.
It's like Otis is very over the top. Bill Moseley can handle that.
Uh-huh.
Captain Spot, like these people can handle being almost cartoon. They were cartoonish.
Right.
Yes.
I wouldn't say the people in this one are cartoonish, but they're on the line and they can handle it. Like
Yes.
they know what they're doing.
I think a different actor, it becomes cartoonish. Meg Foster grounds it in a weird way.
Yeah.
That I believe every word she says.
She's like horrifying.
No shit, dude. But as Heidi walks into the night with Troy, the screen is overtaken by a colorful psychedelic swirl in an advertisement for WIQZ, Salem's rock station, and their DJs, the H-Team. Heidi LaRock, Herman Whitey Salvador, played by Jeff Daniel Phillips, and Herman Munster Jackson, played by the man himself, Kin Foree.
Two Hermans?
Two Hermans.
I was thrilled to see Ken Foree. I was very excited. I did not know he was in this, but this is who I was talking about that I wish they would have given him more. I don't feel like we get enough of him at all.
I would agree. There's really never enough of Kin Foree.
That's a good point, too.
They did have more for him in the novel and the original script. He kind of took on more of like a fatherly.
Yeah.
You get that vibe.
You do.
But it's like, so it's just not enough.
It's not. It's
because
not.
there's one scene where I was like, what the fuck is your problem? And then later I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But if we had gotten more of that dynamic, I would have immediately understood why he's feeling the way he was feeling. You know what I mean?
I think it's the difficulty in what was cut.
Okay.
Right.
And it kind of allowed them to expand a little bit more on other things that there's one scene in particular that I feel like they could have cut completely and then kind of given more to this to add for more character.
Okay.
But they did not.
Will you tell us?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the piano.
Uh-huh.
I know it might seem a little weird, but this was one of those on and off moments for me. Because the piano, I was like, okay, the music's good. You know, the whole her walking and whatever. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get this weenie in the butt ass fucking bullshit radio, whatever the fuck this is supposed to be, this crashed whatever, like straight up, this crashed whatever interest I was having.
Weenie in the butt.
That's a lot.
It is. It's
but
very,
I mean, even their show, there's a very the soundboard is working over time.
Yes, it is. Which they should throw it out the window. I will say that the ad was actually a necessity because they didn't have the time, because what they were going to do was they were going to film a whole thing, because you see that in the ad they boast that they were voted number one for a magazine.
Okay.
They were actually going to film them being interviewed by that magazine.
All right.
And that was going to be the introduction to the H-Team.
Okay.
But they couldn't. I don't necessarily have a problem with the promo, but I feel like the vibe that we get from her, this does not seem like the type of show that she's working on.
Not exactly. I will say, but I mean,
I can't stop laughing at Weenie in the butt.
Even that, this is over the top. I don't.
Not for him.
Yeah, I know, but still, I told your sister, for me, this would have worked better if she was a librarian or a store clerk or something else where we would have, I guess, had more time to develop these characters. This just turned me off. I was like, okay, I
I feel like it works for me because it kind of is the only opening to where what we get later and how everything comes to her.
I mean, you could get the same thing at a library.
But not with what it is. Because
I'm sure I could tool it around and make it
really
put me in. Coach.
Yeah, shit.
I think if she's at a library, then she's just like all the other people that we'll see later, and then that kind of
she still is.
But she has more of a connection to it.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. I don't mind her working at the radio station. I think my only thing is how fucking silly their show is.
Yeah, I think that could have been retooled.
Not necessarily I hated it or anything, but it just shocked me.
Maybe.
I was like, okay.
It is hit or miss.
Yeah.
Right.
Very hit or miss. I did want to call it because I didn't know this. I was looking because both Jeff Daniel Phillips and Ken Foree kind of became zombie mainstays.
Okay.
Show up in a lot of his films.
Yeah.
But Jeff Daniel Phillips, I watch Zodiac all the time. He has like a 30-second scene in that movie. But he also was the Geico caveman.
Shut the fuck up.
All right. All right. That will help the movie.
Raise it up a point.
There you go.
That is hilarious.
Isn't that
love
surprising?
Those fucking commercials.
They
That
were
was so
funny.
I thought he was great.
Yeah.
I'll say it. But at the radio station, the H team sits behind their mics watching a music video on a large screen of Leviathan the Fleeing Serpent performing the song Crushing the Ritual. The black metal drums pound, guitars screech, and the singer with his face painted white growls lyrics as words like Satan, woman, church, and blood subliminally flash. Whitey sips his coffee and sarcastically holds up a lighter as the song ends. According to Blabbermouth, this song, of course, because he did the score, was written by John Five.
Okay.
Performed by him as well. But the actual vocals were performed by Rob Zombie.
What?
And you can hear it. You can kind of hear it.
I did not hear one. Yeah.
No. He's like, we're leaving that out.
I was
I'm
like,
cutting that out.
I was like, that doesn't look like him, but it sounds.
Yes,
that's
like, what
hilarious.
the fuck?
It was so surprising to me, but then when you go back and listen, you're like, it's totally Rob Zombie.
That's so funny. I need to go back.
The funny thing as well is rewatching it this time, I was like, why are they called the H team? Every single time I watched it, it was like, oh, Heidi, Herman, and Herman.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
That'll do it.
you gotta start paying attention.
3 H's.
But after a bit of radio banter, Herman asks Count Gorgon, the lead singer of the band played by Torsten Voges, to explain the philosophy behind their music. I will say I have seen Torsten Voges in other things. I can't place it at the moment, but I thought he kind of, in some shots, looks like John Malkovich in a wig. If it's just me, I'll take it, but it could just be me. I don't know.
I gotta see him again now.
But in the background, Heidi and Whitey crack jokes, and they do hit that soundboard pretty hard.
Yes, they do.
It's real, like, morning zoo behavior.
Yeah, they need to cut it a paycheck, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, too. Just like you said, morning zoo. This is at night.
It is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just really wasn't. That's
No.
not what I was expecting.
You expect the more chill vibe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Herman's got it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He doesn't fuck
He's
around.
He's the only one.
But they're like playing like fart noises and shit. It's like, come on, dude. Jesus.
Weenie in the butt behavior.
Yeah,
It's jump
Seriously, they're treating him like he's not even there.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, dude. It's like, come on. Jesus
See,
Christ.
that
Grow
was
up.
weird too. It's like, you're interviewing this dude.
Yes.
He's sitting right
To
there.
his face, you're like, whatever. It's a lot. But Count Gorgon says that their philosophy is to expose the lies of Christian whores and Jesus, the true bringer of death. When Heidi and Whitey just burst out laughing, the Count reiterates that they're not the crying sheep of God, they're the mighty goat. Heidi and Whitey just continue to crack jokes, but she eventually asks him, why the goat? Gorgon explains that the goat has free will, and for that reason, he will always be punished by God. Gorgon says that God must die. He is the unholy pig, and they serve the butcher.
This is a great interview.
Yeah. Well, Herman's like, all right. I mean,
What the fuck?
I don't know. I will say it is introducing some concepts that we'll explore more later.
Right.
So it's an interesting way of doing it. I don't know exactly that Gorgon is the right guest for the H team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
know.
this is-
It seems very strange, especially when they play a lot of Rick James later.
I was really confused.
So yeah, same shit.
What vibe is this?
Yeah, man. Leviathan the Fleeing Serpent, Rick James. It's
Yeah.
the same section at the
Right,
record store.
And goats play dead when they get scared.
Yeah, so
come on,
how
guys.
strong?
Yeah, calm
And they
down.
eat cans.
Yeah, apparently. And they have cool names like Gertrude. So. But I will say, as kind of ridiculous as the radio show is, these three actors do have chemistry together.
Right.
They do, and you see it even more a little bit later. Like, it almost feels like they weren't even in character.
Yeah.
In a little bit. Like, I kind of want more of that.
Yeah.
This relationship between the three of them.
Right.
But I will speak for myself. It's just not enough.
No, I'll
No,
agree.
yeah.
And it sucks that things couldn't be expanded on. And it sucks that they're hitting that soundboard that hard. But later, throughout their shift, the H team grooves to Rick James, as I said. They engage in more banter that may or may not be insensitive. And then they groove to Rick James some more.
Yeah.
But at the end of the shift, Heidi reminds them on air that it is Monday evening, which means one thing: ladies' choice. The men predict and are correct that she wants to play Rush, so the spirit of the radio begins to play as they share a drink together.
I'm looking at my notes and I don't know what was happening to me. But that song is pretty long. They take a break it's like 5 minutes and some change. They take a break to take a shot. I used to work with this older dude who was a DJ, and he said that anytime he needed to use the restroom or go get a snack, he would put on Layla, the original one with the
Yeah,
coda.
yeah.
Because, I mean, you got almost fucking 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, this is in my notes. I remember that the guy that wrote the coda for Layla murdered his mom.
What?
Yeah, he's still in prison right now.
Oh shit.
And then, but then it came out that like he stole the coda from his girlfriend at the time, so he never even really wrote it. And also, Half Sack from Sons of Anarchy killed his mom. I don't know what.
Nate, what are you doing? Wait, from
You can cut all of that. I don't know what.
Where
I
did,
don't know
but
what
where did
happened.
Half Sack
I
come into it?
don't know. Matricide?
What are we watching again?
I don't know.
I think it was Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
The rest of my notes is just murder stats.
Yeah.
I don't even think I finished this.
Well, one of the members of one of the chapters of the Sons is in this film. So
Yeah, that's what I meant.
okay, dude, I'm trying for you, dude. I'm giving you an M. Night level of defense,
I appreciate it.
and much like M. Night, I'm not sure you deserve it.
I give it so much. It's nice to be on the receiving end.
Isn't it sad that I just squashed beef with Rob Zombie and now I'm beginning? I can't stop.
You're not beginning beef with M. Night. That's been there.
That's true. But I do say that he has made 3 perfect films.
He
Perfect
has.
films. But Heidi and Whitey, because we're talking about the Lords of Salem,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
head to the lobby of the studio where they bump into Serena Houghton, the receptionist played by Nico Posey. So this is an actual recording studio that they're filming at.
Okay.
That's cool.
And I think Rob Zombie said like Elton John, like a ton of big albums were
Right.
recorded here. But Serena tells Heidi that a package came for her, and Heidi heads straight for it. It appears to be an old wooden box about the size of a briefcase with a very familiar sigil painted on top of it. Heidi opens it to find a vinyl record, and from an inscription on the inside of the box, she says that she thinks it's from a band called the Lords. Negative as all hell, Herman enters the room, saying that sure as shit, it's probably shit.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's just funny because you tonight just interviewed a man who said that he wants to kill God. But
Yeah.
they're like, where?
Who could have?
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
I immediately would have assumed it was that strange man that
Yeah.
was just yelling about goats in the booth.
Yelling about guns. I will say though, and again, that I'm glad that you kind of put that into context with their interview, because in a lot of horror movies, a lot of weird shit happens, and you're like, why is nobody calling this out as weird?
Yeah.
This isn't weird
Right.
Yeah.
for them with the interview they
This
just had
could-
with.
exactly.
Yeah, so nothing is strange yet. The apartment's strange.
Yeah.
It is. The ghoul in apartment 5
I'll
is
say
strange.
that.
Yes.
How are they paying their rent? But for all of Herman's negativity, Heidi says that she'll just take the record home and listen to it herself. They all say their goodbyes to Serena and head outside for a smoke. While outside, Herman offers them a ride home, which they politely decline. Before he gets into his car, though, he says that he's got to get back home to the warden and hopes he doesn't get a DWS. And they're like, you mean a DWI? He's like, no, a DWS, driving while sexy.
That killed me because I'm like, he would have said DWI.
Yeah.
They have fun.
The risks we take when we get behind that wheel.
Apparently, yeah. But Whitey walks his bicycle alongside Heidi as he walks her home. They share laughs as pensive acoustic guitar plays in the background. So this is one of the sequences because the radio station is in California and the apartment obviously is in Salem.
Damn.
Can't even tell.
No, not at all.
And from what I read, they only had 3 days to film in Salem total.
Damn.
And so what they're able to do, like it's
that's impressive.
very strict, but they did it. But once upstairs in her apartment, Heidi stirs a pot of what appears to be cream gravy. It's probably just soup. We're from Texas, so I don't know. But meanwhile, Whitey pops on a Velvet Underground record and Venus in Furs begins to play. As Lou Reed croons the lyrics, Heidi and Whitey kind of almost share a moment. He asks if playing that record was too obvious, and Heidi just shrugs and winks over and over. Whitey's like, what the fuck does that mean? Because it honestly doesn't mean anything.
It was nonsense. It was cute.
It was cute because of, it's implying a history.
Yeah.
But Heidi just busts out laughing, and the two vibe together in a strange kind of hippie dance, which culminates with Heidi playfully kicking Whitey in the ass. Well, more on the ass.
In his ass.
Yeah. But in the hall, the music is muted as the camera pulls away from the door to apartment 5. But back in apartment 2, Heidi and Whitey eat a dinner of pancakes together. I do want to point out that the shape of the pancake on Whitey's fork was a triangle, so he is eating his pancakes the right way.
All right.
Unlike Creep, forgot his name. Joseph in Creep.
So she was probably mixing up pancake batter, huh?
On the stove?
Not cream gravy?
Well, it should have been cream gravy.
Was it on the stove?
Yeah, she was. Well, I thought so. I guess some of the camera work isn't.
This is Rob Zombie's fault.
Isn't what we need it to be. It's just a shaky cam on the gravy, or I guess batter. But Whitey jokes about Herman's wig, saying that rug isn't fooling anyone. He says he should be rocking the Isaac Hayes look instead, and that he'd listen to Heidi if she told him to. Heidi says that she tried, but he won't listen to anyone. At this point, the record stops playing, and Heidi remarks, "dead air," to which Whitey retorts, "dead hair."
That was pretty good.
Pretty good. I was like, all right, you're winning me over. That's miles ahead of Tutti fucking Fruity. They said that these lines were written in later because I guess they had an idea for a wig for Ken Foree.
All right.
And the one that they got ended up looking like shit. And so they're like, we got to say something about this wig. It's one of those own it before it owns you situations.
Right.
So they put that in there. But in the silence of the record dying, Whitey notices the record sent to Heidi sitting on the couch, the one from the Lords. He opens it up, remarking on the weight of the vinyl in his best Yakov Smirnoff impression for some reason.
He's just on, I think.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's not making the sound effects with his mouth.
Like, remember the farts from earlier? Did you love them? I feel like he's on because he's trying to impress her still.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will say doing a Yakov Smirnoff impression a lot of this stuff puts this film out of time.
Right.
And so we do see some stuff later that's very in time that kind of catches me off guard.
Yeah. Well, when he's like, rock the Isaac Hayes or whatever, I was like, what year is this supposed to be?
Right.
And then later on, somebody's on a cell phone.
Yeah.
So I was like,
never mind.
All right. Okay.
But Whitey puts the record on the player and drops the needle, but it doesn't set it properly, and the needle scratches and skips, so Heidi gets up to fix it for him. In the red light of the apartment, the record begins to play. Rhythmic stomps pound, instruments scrape and screech, and low strings hum a foul melody. Whitey says that they should use this for their Smash or Trash segment tomorrow, but as he says this, he notices something is wrong with Heidi, who appears to be a little lightheaded. She puts her hands over her ears, and we hear the voice of Margaret Morgan say, "Breathe this new world with the blessed spawn of your glory." We flash back to 1696. Margaret and her coven crowded over Priscilla, played by Lisa Marie, all bathed in the orange light of the fire. Now, Lisa Marie, according to Rob Zombie on commentary, hadn't acted in a film for several years.
Oh, wow.
But you probably remember her from Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
And I think she was also in Ed Wood. She was a Tim Burton mainstay. I think they dated. Did they not?
I don't know.
All right.
I do not know.
But I think she's great.
Yeah.
And this is the point where the novel and the film were originally going to begin.
Oh, okay.
Was with this scene we see. That they moved it around and switched it around. But the coven covers Priscilla's mouth as she screams, and Margaret cuts open her pregnant belly to steal her baby. She speaks into the baby's ear as it cries, and she licks blood off of its cheek. But she immediately appears displeased, spitting the blood back into the baby's face, and says that its vile taste sickens her.
Like, what did you expect it to taste like?
Maybe other babies have tasted great.
It's never going to be as good as it can. I mean, but
she's not a goat.
They love goats. Goats love it. No, at this point, I was like, Heidi's that baby. And then I was like, wait,
hold on.
This is the 1600s.
Like 300 years ago. Yeah. All I thought was that's not the best way to come into this world.
Yeah.
I hope that's not his first memory. That's all I was thinking.
He's like, fuck.
Like, Jesus Christ. Put me back in.
I also wanted to say it made me laugh that when they were playing the record, I watched this on Shudder, and the subtitles said discordant, and then they put music in quotes.
Wow.
I was like, no, it's music.
There is a melody. I mean, you wouldn't hear it on the radio, I'll say that.
No.
But they did say that the instruments that they use, like there's nothing digital on this recording. Mm-hmm. It is completely...
I like it.
Yeah. There's something... I don't know. Maybe we're witches. I don't know. But there's something enticing about it. But Margaret tells her sisters that they have failed and then devolves into speaking tongues angrily at the baby before spitting in its face over and over again.
See, honestly, I was fully prepared to just let y'all vibe and do your thing. I saw nothing wrong with what y'all were doing by the fire and everything. But when you start spitting on babies, that's too much.
Can we also talk about cutting someone open? I guess Nate's...
Well, that part.
Okay.
But I was just like, it was just rude.
No, it's too far. It's rude.
This is your introduction to the world, like you said.
It's like, God damn. Maybe not. They did say on commentary that this baby is a robot.
All right.
So there was no spitting in a baby's face.
Well, I mean, good.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they were actually spitting in a baby's face, but I will say that a lot of times in movies when they use dolls or something like that, it is so jarring and hilarious. Like, this didn't look like a robot baby.
I think they hit it enough with shadows.
Yeah.
It wasn't American Sniper where
right. Exactly.
Bradley Cooper's holding a doll. And he's like, my son or whatever. I never seen the movie. I just imagine he's fucking ridiculous. But if he's holding that baby, what is this movie, right?
Yeah. No, that's the thing. It's like we're supposed to take this part seriously.
Yeah.
I've never seen it either, but
Yeah,
I have
neither.
seen that baby and I've
enough.
seen enough. Yeah.
But back in present day, Whitey stops the music and asks Heidi if she's okay. She says that she is, but that she just got really tired all of a sudden. Whitey says that he should probably leave as it's a long ride home, but Heidi says that he can crash on the couch. This is when he's like, really? The couch? And she repeats herself, yeah, the couch.
So up until then, I was like, their friendship is very cute. He clearly has a crush on her. Maybe it's mutual. But that line, I'm like, oh, stuff has happened before.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Because I would think that with the relationship we see them having, it's not a common thing for him to try to push an issue.
He wouldn't have been expecting to not sleep on the couch.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But later that night, Heidi slips into the kitchen for a late night snack. After finishing it, she puts her plate in the sink and heads back to her bedroom. As she walks down the hall, Heidi does not notice Margaret Morgan standing dirty and naked in her bathroom. I will say the first time I saw that, I was very shocked by it. It kind of caught me off guard and scared the shit out of me a little bit. I think the thing is, because I usually hate the fish-eyed lens thing.
Right.
But I feel like it worked really well here because it kind of brings Margaret closer to you and it makes her appear more threatening.
Right.
Even though she's not doing anything.
Yeah, she's just standing there.
I did enjoy that part of the movie. I feel like because in other movies they would have noticed them.
Right.
So the not noticing it, it's like they're there, but we don't notice it yet.
Which is infinitely more frightening.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, then what's your plan?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I did want to call out the director of photography is Brandon Trost. I think he does really good work in this film.
Uh-huh.
A lot of interesting choices with angles and lighting and everything.
Right.
I will say that I looked at his filmography and he's done a lot of music videos, but he's also like majorly the things that he's most known for is working with Seth Rogen.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
So he likes to get high.
Yeah.
Seems like a cool dude.
Yeah.
We love Seth Rogen in
We
this
do.
house.
I was just surprised. I was like, he did Lords of Salem and Seth Rogen.
All right. Okay.
I think he directed An American Pickle, that film.
All right.
Yeah. It's like, good for you, dude. Versatile.
Range,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But we get the title card Tuesday. We see Heidi walking the daylit streets of Salem, passing a newspaper box for Dig Boston with a picture of the H-Team on the side of it, that magazine cover that they had, that we saw in their ad. But we hear the voice of Ted Delta, a drug counselor played by Brandon Cruz. So Brandon Cruz was a child actor in the 60s and 70s, but then after he grew up, he became a punk rock singer. And he actually, for 2 years, was the lead singer of Dead Kennedys.
What the hell?
Yeah. I thought it was very interesting. To me, it was interesting because I'm like, well, when did Rob Zombie like become aware of this dude? Because, you know, he uses a lot of actors that he saw as a kid
Yeah.
Right.
on like TV shows in the 60s and 70s. But also, he was in the New York rock scene
Right.
in the 80s. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, did you fucking...
Either way,
you know,
yeah.
did you meet him there? Because he was in punk bands in the 80s as well. So it's like, you know...
That's really cool.
Pretty cool. And a very small role, but, you know,
Yeah.
good to see him flexing his acting chops again, I guess, after the shows he
A
was
while,
on.
yeah.
But Ted talks about his struggles with addiction after watching his mother go down the same path and not learning from her mistakes. At the meeting itself, we see a group in a circle with Heidi seated next to Ted. Ted implores the group to learn from his mistakes, even as he continues to struggle himself. After the meeting, Heidi thanks him for his speech. So, I will say, I did think this was interesting in a Rob Zombie film for someone to get a bit of character,
Yeah.
a bit of a background.
Yeah.
Probably not enough.
It's not enough. I think that sobriety looks different for everybody.
Right.
If you're sober from one thing, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be sober from everything. But it was interesting to me to see her here right after we saw her taking tequila shots and getting drunk the night before.
Right.
So I guess I wanted clarification. I guess we do get that later, but it was a little, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a little surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does kind of worry me, or at least it did the first time I watched it, because I was like, okay, so she has a history of addiction.
Yeah.
I'm worried that people won't believe her when they tell her she's seeing some things.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
interesting.
They'll think that she's relapsed potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of adds a layer to her character that kind of gets played with a little bit.
Yeah.
But again,
Not enough.
not enough.
Yeah.
But at WIQZ Studios, Herman announces on air that he is now dairy and gluten-free. Whitey cracks jokes, but Heidi fronts him immediately, saying that she just saw him eating a grilled cheese sandwich 5 minutes ago. According to Herman, though, sandwiches don't count, which is the most nonsensical rule.
No. Heard.
No.
I will subscribe to that.
I will not allow it. I needed explain to me how did they not count?
Because Ken Foree said that they don't
Oh, okay,
count.
that's good. But Heidi immediately shifts gears to an interview with Francis Matthias, an author played by Bruce Davison, who is in studio.
Senator Kelly.
Yeah.
From what, the X-Men?
Yes.
Wow. He was also in The Crucible in the 90s, which I thought was interesting because here he's back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he played a role. He was a fucking, I think he was one of the dicks in a...
Really?
Yeah, one of the... dicks, I
One of
guess.
the dicks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they called him in the 1600s. But here he's not so much. He's honestly, I think, in this film, he brings like such a jovial, almost like very relatable and light presence.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that it's very needed here because a lot of the film kind of gets pretty dark.
Yes.
But Heidi intros his book, Satan's Last Stand, The Truth About the Salem Witch Trials, remarking that he looks very attractive on the back cover. From there, it kind of devolves into some lighthearted banter, with Frances complimenting her tattoos and Whitey clearly getting jealous about it.
Yeah. It's just like, be cool, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
But Frances says that he has a wife, so it's all just playful banter. It doesn't mean anything. But when things do calm down from that, Herman asks Francis how many people were killed during the Salem witch trials. Francis says that it was about 25, which disappoints Whitey as he expected a larger number. Heidi then asks if there were any real witches in Salem, and Francis speaks about the current Wiccan population of Salem, calling them a spiritual, earth-based religion. Of course, Whitey denigrates them with insults and, of course, the soundboard. Always
ever
gets
present.
in the worst possible way. There is an odd bit I did whenever Whitey says that all the Wiccans probably have like hairy armpits or whatever.
Yeah.
Heidi counters that saying that she shaves her armpits. And Francis goes, well, that's a pity. I was like, calm down.
Yeah,
dude.
I was like, well, what the fuck
What is happening? Herman's like, are we doing an interview or are we not doing But Herman redirects the conversation, asking if there are any classic witches. Francis gives kind of an asshole answer, saying that there are no classic witches and that witchcraft is a psychotic belief brought on by a delusional mind.
I felt like for someone who's literally written a book on the subject,
Yeah.
that was very closed-minded. His answer surprised me.
I was shocked because, again, he seems very charming.
Yeah.
So I thought he would be more open-minded.
Not that I necessarily expected him to be the harbinger, but like maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
That it's like there were things going on that,
Right.
we probably don't understand. But the fact that he's like, nah. I
Yeah.
was like, okay.
Fair enough. They did say in the novel that at this moment, because he spent his whole life studying it, they said that he was holding back his anger because he's like, what the fuck are you asking me this for? Like, he was mad.
What?
But I'm like, I would imagine if you go to be interviewed about this book, you're probably going to get
Expect to be asked.
some witchy questions, but all right.
God damn.
I'm glad they changed that.
Yeah.
The other thing, whenever the cast, because I was like, ate up with Rob Zombie films whenever I was younger, and I would get all of these updates from his website about all these cast members that are joining the Lords of Salem. And one that I did remember, and I looked up and I was right, was Bruce Dern was supposed to play this character.
Okay.
But Rob Zombie said that whatever reason, it didn't work out. And he never elaborated on why. And on the commentary, he didn't even name Bruce Dern. He just said the actor we had previously.
What happened?
No idea.
I want the tea.
Me too. Bruce Davison, they said that he came in like the day that he's filming this was the day that he met Rob Zombie. But he came in, he does great.
Yeah.
He really does.
But as the interview draws to a close, we see a few things happen around town. At the Engine House restaurant, Jarrett Perkins, played by Michael Seamus Wiley, handles a customer on the phone who called in with a late order, while Macy Mather, an employee played by Dustin Quick, clears a table in her section.
Mather.
Elsewhere, woman getting into shower, played by Judy Thompson, switches on the radio in her bathroom, tuning into WIQZ to hear Heidi plugging Francis's book and officially ending the interview. So I did want to say we kind of stopped a bit on Maisie Mather.
Yeah.
Being a name that's important. It would be important if Judge Mather
was still here.
is still here. But we do get Michael Seamus Wiley, who I remember was on Breaking Bad. He was the ASAC.
Yeah.
For Hank and them. The DEA, I think it's called.
For Hank
and Company.
Them? Yeah. Like apostrophe in.
But I do. Wasn't he on Sons of Anarchy as like one of the chapter leaders or something?
Yes, he was. And it was Half Sack's landlady.
Oh, in real life?
Yeah, so let me clarify a talking point that really has nothing to do with it. Just cut all of it out. Just cut all of it out.
It had nothing to do with it when it seemed to have something to do with it.
Now it has even less. Very good.
Lord. All right, well, we'll just carry on.
I'm really earning my seat today.
But Whitey introduces the next segment, Smash or Trash, and tosses it over to Heidi, who tells their audience about the record they're going to play. She admits that it's a weird one, especially because she has no info on it, but says that it comes from a band called The Lords. Herman assumes that they're locals, so he says we'll just call them The Lords of Salem.
Listen,
All right.
you can't just rename their band. And why are you assuming they're local?
You can't.
There was so much about this that was kind of like so ridiculous that it was funny. Because like even later on, it's like it's from a band called the Lords of Salem. No, it's not.
We never.
Yeah.
That's not their
Never
name.
said that.
Yeah.
It's like a magician named Gob.
Yeah.
No. That was never.
That's
was
not
never my
it.
name. But Francis, upon hearing the Lords of Salem, appears very uneasy. But Herman says that the phone lines are open and tells their listeners to get ready to smash or trash. We see the woman at home disrobing, Macy washing dishes at the restaurant, and we also see Virginia Cable, a tech at the local TV station, played by the one and only, lovely, and wickedly talented, and possibly my betrothed, Barbara
Good
Crampton.
Lord. Just say her
The fucking
name.
name. It's Barbara Crampton.
Wickedly talented.
I had to throw that in
No,
there.
that's very cool.
I will say that she does not have a lot to do in this film.
Right.
And
No.
it upsets me because there was a lot of stuff that was cut that we'll talk about later.
Right.
But we see them drop the needle on the Lords of Salem record, and as the eerie music begins to play, something happens. The three credited women and other uncredited women across town listening to the broadcast take notice of it and almost appear in a trance, dropping whatever they were doing. Heidi grimaces at the sound of the song in her headphones and asks Whitey to mute it, which he does, but Francis continues to look on concerned.
It was interesting to me that it's clear at this point it's only affecting women.
Right.
Because when they were in the apartment, I was like, oh, it's her.
Yeah,
It's not just her.
it's just women
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Salem.
Interesting.
I will say that this is about the extent of what we see the record doing at this point.
Yeah.
In the novel, Macy Mather is making it sweet, we'll say, with her boyfriend. And she gets the urge to cut off all of her hair with a pair of scissors and carve the sigil into her chest and murder her boyfriend.
All right.
That's a lot. That was going to happen right now?
Yes.
That's a lot. That's fucking...
That's too
That's
much.
too much.
So I'm like, yeah, just drop the dishes.
What the fuck?
Yes. So that's stuff going on in the background.
God.
We talked about it being bloodier and whatnot.
No
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, so no, I don't. I prefer this to that.
A little mystery, a little decorum, please.
But after the broadcast, Francis asks Heidi where the record came from, but she says that according to Serena, it just appeared at the station with a note for her. Even worse, it came to her very specifically, addressing her by her real name. I was glad to hear that she had a real name, nothing against the surname, but I was like, Heidi LaRock cannot be.
Yeah.
A DJ.
Yeah, that's a DJ name. But seemingly shrugging it off, Francis says that he's going to head home to get the critique from his wife and says goodbye to the H-team. In the novel, like, as I said, he was all pissed off about those questions. At this point, all he's doing is just beating himself up, saying that he was horrible on the radio. And it's like
Aw.
really sad. It's like, man, this guy's...
Is that me?
Yeah. I've never related to a character.
Hard fucking relate. Oh my God.
But we see Francis arrive home to a pretty sweet-looking apartment, and he's greeted by Alice, his wife, played by Maria Conchita Alonso, who is painting a picture. Once he finally gets the stubborn front door closed, he asks how he did on the radio.
I gotta say, I don't know how much I've said it on the show, but it is a running joke. And between the three of us, she was on Desperate Housewives.
Oh, my God. In all honesty,
She
at this
played
point,
Gabby's mom.
it'd be
Oh,
easier to say who wasn't on
Yeah.
Desperate Housewives. But Alice lovingly tells him that, of course, she listened to the radio and that he was fantastic. Even more, she recorded it for him just in case he wanted to hear it back. He refuses, though, saying that he hates the sound of his own voice, and she jokes that she has to listen to it every day.
Very cute.
Yeah.
But once again, yeah.
I love
Me
this
and Francis,
guy. Yeah.
we see each other.
I will say for we only get maybe 2-3 scenes with them.
Yeah.
I like their chemistry.
Yes,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
very cute
Yeah.
together.
Like a lot. But Francis asks her if she recorded the music that was played, which she did, and she reheats some leftover pasta for their dinner, while Francis says that something about that music really upset him, especially the band's name,
Stop.
the Lords of Salem. That wasn't their name.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But he wonders aloud where he heard that name before.
Man,
Why didn't they just call? In the film? Why
They
don't we
could've
just
just-
make it the Lords of Salem?
I don't know.
that's something too. And I hate being that guy, but that bothered me throughout the rest of the movie because it's like, no.
It's not.
Y'all just made that name up.
Yeah. Just
we watched you.
on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, we watched you.
It's funny because from here on out, they are kind of, I think they're referred to the Lords like maybe one more time,
Yeah.
but then they're just the Lords of Salem.
Yeah.
They've changed.
They were like, damn, I didn't wait thinking that.
Yeah, fuck.
That's a lot better.
Just call us that. Call us that. Yeah.
But back at the station, as Heidi and Whitey leave for the night, Whitey does not hide his jealousy over Heidi's remark about Francis being cute. She tells him not to be jealous as Herman comes out to say his goodnights for the evening. He sidles up to Heidi, though, and with very fatherly energy, sincerely tells Heidi to get some sleep. The hosts part company, and Heidi walks home alone. In the night, with headphones on, Heidi practices her French, which I did not know she was trying to learn.
Yeah.
If I know anything, that Duolingo bird was like, bitch, you got 2 hours left.
You see what time it is? Her phone exploded.
They blow you the fuck up. But it did. The other night when Whitey volunteers to walk her home
Uh-huh.
and they kind of hang out for a little bit, I would have liked, even if they're not hanging out, if he still walked her home.
Yeah.
Because this kind of makes me feel like he was trying to get it in.
Yeah.
Get it in.
And it didn't work out, so he's like, well, I'm just gonna go home. Like I would have liked a little more like, no, I want to make sure that you get home safe and then I'll go home. Like if that was kind of their routine, I would have liked that better, because now it just feels like, okay, bye. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. They
The
seem,
couch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
Yeah.
It seemed very cute, but like as it goes on, it is giving less cute.
Right.
That is fair. That is fair. Because, I mean, there is no reason for that to not be their routine.
Right.
Yeah.
And he did say that it is a long ride home.
Come on, man. She lives like up the street.
So we see. Well, I mean, I guess if she's walking to work, it can't be that bad. I don't know. Whitey should have walked her home.
God damn
Yeah.
it, Whitey.
I'll admit it. But when she makes it back to the apartment building, she bumps into Lacey, who invites her to meet her sisters. In apartment 1 sits Sunny, played by Dee Wallace, and Megan, played by Patricia Quinn. So among a ton of other credits, you got E.T.'s mom.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess not E.T.'s mom. That's just some random alien lady. That was never established in the film. But you know what I fucking mean?
She's here now.
I did
Yes.
not remember that being the
that
choice
was not
of
part of
E.T.
the film. and Magenta from Rocky Horror. That's all I was trying to say. E.T.'s mom and Magenta from Rocky Horror. So many icons, so little time.
And Cujo, right?
Yeah, also
Yeah.
Cujo's mom. I did want to point out that Rob Zombie said that I guess Patricia Quinn and Dee Wallace's ideas or methods of acting were so far apart.
Uh-huh.
Patricia Quinn is of the mind of like, it's on the page, we're saying it.
Yeah.
If there's a breath or there's a sigh, we're saying it, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Dee Wallace is a little more laid
Little
back.
looser.
Yeah. And so if she would add an to a line, Patricia Quinn would lose where she was.
Oh, wow.
And so she's that structured. And so he said they were at each other's throats.
I bet.
Yeah.
But they worked it out.
Yeah.
And it works out. But I mean, it is interesting because to me, it feels like the character of Megan, who Patricia Quinn plays, feels more laid back
Yeah.
than.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, fair enough.
acting.
Exactly. I do also want to point out, because I have to, but the three sisters, can't say why it reminds me of Suspiria just yet,
Right.
but I feel like we all knew exactly why it did. But Sunny and Megan seem jovial and cool, asking Heidi to join the party. Heidi agrees to come back down after she feeds Troy, and the sisters are overjoyed to hear that.
She does not really want to. And you
No.
can tell she doesn't want to.
She does it, but we all find ourselves in those shitty...
I know,
Yeah.
but I just would have been like, no, it's cool.
Your
I mean,
sisters have...
obviously,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
it goes. No, I'm saying if I'm the landlady.
Oh, you're saying she didn't want Heidi there?
No, Heidi did not want to be there.
Right.
So if I'm inviting somebody and they reacted the way Heidi did, I'd be like, you're good, dude. Go
Yeah.
rest.
That's true.
Next time. But I can get later on why
Why?
that isn't really an option. But
As Heidi heads upstairs, Lacey offers a very creepy, "We'll be waiting."
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I'm not coming back down.
No, hell no.
I've changed my mind. Actually, I also have to eat. Me and Troy. But Lacey returns to her sisters in the apartment. But when Heidi enters her apartment, in the background of the shot, we see a hanging lamp in front of apartment 5 swaying back and forth.
I really liked that.
Yeah.
Yes. This is what I'm talking about. It's very subtle.
Yeah, I was going to say the subtlety.
Yeah.
Which,
That-
again, is not what you expect.
No.
And this is where just that small shot.
Yeah.
And it's just the simple fact that it's just that light.
Yes.
And it's like, that's effective. That's very, very effective.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that.
Yes.
But then other stuff. It's like, man.
Kind of.
But then there's more movie.
Like, remember the light, JP. Just remember. But inside her apartment, Heidi calls out for Troy in the dark. But when she switches on the light in the kitchen, Margaret floats filthy and nude in the corner of the room. The look on her face is haunting.
Yeah. She fucking kills it in
She
this.
does.
Like, she is scary.
I'm honestly, like, I know that there's an iconic image of Sherry Moon in this movie that comes later.
Right.
But Margaret Morgan deserves her flowers.
No,
Yes.
yeah.
Like, what the fuck? I think more, and that's just a part of this film to me, I feel like being underrated, is a lot of people don't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
Meg Foster in this, I can't say it enough, dude.
Yeah. And did you know that she was married to Stephen McHattie from Pontypool?
Is that right?
Yeah. That's all. That one was relevant.
Hey, there you go. But what does this have to do with Sons of Anarchy?
Focus. Focus in. This was Clay.
All right. It always was Clay. He wouldn't let him have it. But Heidi doesn't notice Margaret at all and just feeds Troy before heading out like she said she would. The funny thing is that Rob Zombie said that there were problems with this dog the entire filming.
Wow.
And there comes the point where we just don't see the dog anymore. Which makes me laugh because he's just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
They can't all be mushroom.
No.
It's funny to me that you mentioned that, because as I'm watching this, I'm like, and not necessarily that I want anything cliched, but any other movie, that dog would be reacting in a certain way.
Right.
And Troy really did not give a shit. He's like,
No.
oh, Maggie's here. Like, he didn't give a fuck.
Oh, kibble, you say?
He didn't give a shit at all.
Not at all. But down in apartment 1, beneath a lit up picture of Jesus Christ, the women polish off another bottle of wine together with a toast. Heidi learns that Sonny is a self-help guru who, quote, helps lost people find their way again, and Megan is a palm reader.
Listen, I was like, pour me a glass.
Yeah.
Like, hell yes.
This sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm right now. Right
Yeah.
now.
That's
It's
true. It's like a facade of this
Yeah.
really cool shit. But even more, Megan says that she's not just any palm reader. She sees things beneath the surface. And I don't mean like veins and bones and shit. Like cosmically.
Oh, man.
Which again,
Yeah.
yes.
Pour me a glass.
Heidi says that she's never had her palm read before, admitting that she thought it was all bullshit. She says no offense, of course, but Megan does take offense, admonishing the plastic people with crystal balls and neon signs who have destroyed the value of her gift.
I don't blame her.
No.
Yeah.
With that, though, and a request from Lacey, Heidi gives Megan her hand.
That would make me, I would probably be a little uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
But that would also, hearing her say that would make me be like, okay, well, you're not trying to scam me,
Yeah.
or you're not, let's see what you got to say.
And I haven't paid anything?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you didn't ask for payment. You didn't anything.
No.
You
That's
just-
why after she's like, that'll be $150.
And 50?
Plus,
And I
that's the tip.
expect a tip.
Yeah.
But Megan says that the hand and the brain are one, with 1/4 of the motor cortex in the brain being devoted to the hand. From what I could find, this checks out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you don't like the movie, there's one thing you can take away.
Take an interest in science, right,
Yes.
guys?
Yeah.
Oy vey. All right. But Megan says that the lines are formed at a subatomic and cellular level, the lines of her life. She takes Heidi's right hand, telling her that the right hand signifies the future. She then points to a line, and Heidi asks if it's her lifeline. Megan says it's actually the line of fate. The length of your life doesn't matter. After all, it's what you do with that time.
I like that.
Yeah. Heidi asks what her destiny is then, but the sisters explain there's a difference between fate and destiny. Megan says you can premeditate the outcome with destiny, but fate leaves you with no choice.
I don't want to know my fate.
No.
Like, I love tarot and stuff like that gives you, like, watch out for this.
Yeah.
These are red flags. Avoid this. Not, oh, this is going to happen and there's fucking nothing you can do about it.
No matter what.
No, thank you.
Get used to it. Heidi isn't a fan of that either, but Megan tells her to make peace with her subconscious desires, the wicked thoughts in her head that explode in the juices between her legs.
Not the juices between the legs.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I can't believe you read that.
It took me a moment. There's a lot of ellipses in here. If you had read it, I would have said, exploding in the juices. So I got to get through it. It's written on the page. Rob Zombie said it. I didn't fucking say it.
It wasn't me.
But Sunny looks on kind of like me thinking, well, that's a little too far.
It was a lot.
She's passionate.
She's very passionate.
But it was very like condemning. Like it was rough.
And it gets worse.
Well,
Yeah.
But we zoom in on a statue between candles of what appears to be Jesus healing the sick. I didn't know if that was supposed to signify anything exactly. But Megan continues. Heidi must make peace with the darkness in her soul and the only reason she exists.
God damn.
Wow.
Weren't we just drinking wine?
Yeah. Do I owe you money or
Yeah,
something?
fine. I will pay to leave.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
Was I late on my rent? Like, why are y'all coming for me so hard?
At this point, Heidi does excuse herself from the little get-together. Lacey apologizes for Megan's adamance, and Sunny scolds her for being drunk. Lacey admits that she's embarrassed, but Heidi tells her not to worry about it and to have a good night.
I do want to commend her leaving
Yes.
because I feel like in most other films it'd be like, why the fuck would you still sit there? And it's like being socially polite, blah, blah, blah. No, she's like, I'm done. And I would like to think that would make me get up and leave.
Right.
Yeah.
But also like, because I don't know if you're going to say, isn't she like, it's really annoying when you do that?
Yes. After Heidi leaves, Megan's like, I think that went well.
Yeah.
But she's not saying it like the 80s sitcom way. She really thinks it went well.
Well, that went well.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know what sitcom that was, but Lacey disagrees, asking why she has to get so intense with her readings and calls her annoying, like you said.
So that's the point I wanted to make. If I invite somebody over and I know one of y'all does some weird, intense shit like that, the minute y'all are like, well, give me your hand, I'm gonna be like, no, we'll do that another time. Like,
True.
Yeah.
I would try to put the kibosh on that because you kind of fucking killed the whole evening.
Oh,
doing
it's gone.
that.
Yeah.
And the thing as well is like, again, if say we're at a party,
Right.
somebody reads palms. That's the fucking coolest thing
Yes,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course.
anybody is doing in the room.
Yes.
But not the way Megan does it.
No.
But upstairs, in an overhead shot, as the music reaches a piercing note, a transparent Margaret creeps across the hall. Again, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that there are a few jump scares in this film,
Right.
but to me, they're effective because they're not false.
Yeah.
They're actually trying
It's
to
not
scare
a
you.
cat
Yeah,
jumping
yeah.
out of the
It's
tree.
No. That's my biggest pet peeve. Don't use cats against me. That's number one. That's number one. But in her apartment, Heidi rests in her bed as the 1952 noir film Kansas City Confidential plays on her television. We see a man on the screen wearing a mask.
All right.
And masks will become important later as kind of a motif.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is that what was supposed to be on the television was a subplot involving a serial killer played by Daniel Roebuck.
Oh, shit. He was in The Devil's Rejects, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he plays who I referred to mistakenly as Papa Munster and learned its Grandpa Munster and was clowned roundly for it. But it was supposed to be something that came up later in Nightmare that we didn't get.
Okay.
Which is kind of a shame.
Yeah.
Because that could have been cool.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When you said subplot on the TV, I immediately was like, no, I'm glad it didn't make it in. But that actually sounds interesting.
So I had a quick question,
What's
and this kind of just reminded me of it. I noticed in a lot, and not just this movie, but like they always use old movies. Is that just because it's copyright, or like, I mean, I feel like if you were making a movie and you're like, hey, you mind if I use a little clip from a movie? You did, hell yeah. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
know what I
Yeah.
Like, cool. All right. Hey, I'm gonna throw you a little love and you have your shit on the.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, cool. But like, it's always black and white movies. It's always something old.
It usually is. Personally, I feel like it adds to the aesthetic, but I can see why it's kind of. I mean,
It's just weird.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
When I know we always talk about Night of the Living Dead
Right.
because that's free to use.
Yeah.
I wonder what cost they paid for this. It does suck because a lot of times if, say, like directors are friends or whatever,
Yeah.
a lot of times it's not the directors that own the picture, it's the fucking
Right,
studio.
right.
So if me and Rob Zombie are friends and I'm like, hey, Rob, don't look at me like that.
I'm not. I'm looking down at my notes.
I would love to be friends with Rob Zombie. if me and Rob Zombie are friends and I'm like, hey, can I use a clip from the Lords of Salem? It depends on if he owns it.
Right.
All right.
I could have to go talk to Jason Blum.
Yeah.
In this instance, I assumed it was for aesthetic purposes. I feel like who he is setting Holly, who he's setting up Heidi as a person, she would be watching this.
Yeah.
Right.
I felt like it was purely to like make her like, oh, and she watched, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But usually I'm like in a Life is Strange, the Before the Storm, they're performing The Tempest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are the themes in The Tempest? This is going to tell me what's going to, like, I always assume it like that. Like, if it's an old black and white movie, what is that? What happens in it? Like, these themes are going to be repeated in this. That's what I always assume.
And what's difficult about Rob Zombie is that sometimes that is true.
Yeah.
And other times it's like, no, he just loves that movie.
Right. You never know.
So it's like, all right.
Yeah.
But Heidi coughs herself awake and heads into the kitchen for a drink of water. We get a wide shot of the apartment in the dark, familiar angles, but no sign of Margaret. Just then, Heidi hears Troy barking, only she hears him from outside in the hall. When she steps out of her apartment, she sees him scratching at the door to apartment 5. So, on commentary, Rob Zombie said that this sequence was supposed to happen on the night that Whitey spent the night.
Okay.
And he left the door open, which is how Troy gets out.
yeah,
right.
I was like, how the hell did he get
Exactly.
out?
Yeah.
To me, it works way better.
It's scarier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the fact that she goes and she's like, how'd you get out? I'd be like, what the fuck? And you're at this weird, creepy ass
Yeah.
door.
It's like, Lacey, we're
Oh,
moving
hell
out. Me and Troy are finding a new place to live. But she does drag him back to her place by his collar and kind of takes it very easy.
Yes.
But before she can head back inside, she sees the door to apartment 5 creak open. Red light reflects off the shiny black pane of the door as Heidi inches her way to the now open apartment.
Absolutely not.
No, there's no way in hell. I understand curiosity,
Right.
but if you remember that tale, it doesn't end well for the cat. So no to all of this. But once inside the apartment, we get a long shot through the drab hallway, Heidi standing in the doorway bathed in red light. This looks awesome.
Yeah.
There's
It
a lot
does.
of really good looking shots in this film, and this is one of my favorites. But as she steps in further, the door closes by itself. A heartbeat pulses in the background, very much a nod to The Shining.
Yeah.
Take a shot.
Yes.
We finally see what's inside apartment 5, though. A red neon crucifix is embedded in the wall, and as it shakes and hums, Heidi holds her hands up to it.
Where's Miguel?
Miguel's going to sue somebody.
Yeah, it made me think of Miguel too.
My Horror Confessional.
Yes.
Every Friday.
Yeah. Subscribe. It's great.
It's great. But in a roar, the camera pulls back to reveal the silhouette of Beelzebub, a large, hairy beast played by Roger W. Morrissey, watching her.
Is that skunk ape?
Oh, shit!
Yeah.
Are we finally meeting it?
I thought it was Bigfoot. I was like, what the
So
fuck?
the Sasquatch has entered the chat.
Yeah.
I think it was that skunk ape that was running around doing dastardly shit in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh, me and my person.
On me and my person.
I am even more excited. They never expanded. I always wanted to meet the skunk ape.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here we are.
And his name's Beelzebub, apparently.
Interesting.
But its breath rumbles as Heidi stares into the crucifix with her hands raised. Again, another great moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I have in my notes is this is actually a really great shot.
Yeah.
Like, it looks really good.
And I was genuinely, there is something about the sound design where that rumble goes through you.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great. But it gets even worse because in a vision through the crooked trees of hell, Beelzebub steps through the orange light of flames, towering over 2 guards holding pitchforks. But when we cut back to the apartment, Beelzebub is gone. Heidi lowers her hands, walking in a trance back to her apartment. As the camera presses in on her, Margaret's voice whispers, "Sister, feel the earth, taste of the air." She asks Heidi to hear the sound of the clouds and the scent of the wind all becoming one. She warns that the horrors of the deceivers are gathering around them.
Listen, before you started with the horrors, this sounded a lot like my guided meditations. I was like, I'm feeling calmer already.
I'm vibing like
Yes,
no other.
Great.
Usually have to pay $1.99 for this. But Margaret suddenly appears nude in front of Heidi, telling her that she is the blade by which they'll bleed the daughters of Salem. Now I need you to excuse me for a moment. And I do apologize beforehand. But what she actually says is the cunting daughters of Salem,
Yes.
which is, of course, a reference to The Exorcist.
I don't think he's ever seen The Exorcist, but if he...
He's done better.
Okay, all right.
He's better.
I'm still mad about Texas Chainsaw.
I know. And that was one interview. I will say we did talk about that in House of a Thousand Corpses, and I always felt bad about it because it kind of painted him in the wrong light. But I do want to say that he did, in other interviews, reference his love.
All right.
We're not trying to fight anyone.
Okay, it's a nod to The Exorcist.
There we go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rob. But Heidi sweats with the sigil in blood on her forehead as Margaret asks, "Dear Heidi, bleed us a king."
Maybe it's me. I'm vibing with the witch stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like the, C-section. I don't like the spitting on the babies. I don't like everything y'all are doing, but like the sisterhood shit,
Yeah.
I'm here for it. So when she said a king,
Nah, not a queen.
I didn't love that. I'm just speaking for me personally.
Well, but I mean, in all fairness, there's never been a rule that the fucking Antichrist has to be a dude.
True.
Yeah.
Right.
That gave me pause, and the fact that it's sisters, and then really like a gut punch of misogyny just right after with the horse stuff. I mean, like right after.
Well, well, here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff we don't agree with 100% of what our friends say. Sometimes they're quite problematic.
I was like, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
It's like, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, that wasn't needed.
You can insult people you don't like without
resorting
without
to
doing
this.
that shit.
Yeah.
But she's from the 1600s. We can't expect her to be as proper as we would like. But Margaret holds her hands up to Heidi, and Heidi returns the favor. We get a shot of the 7 graves of Margaret's coven, twisted crosses planted into the ground as fog billows around them. Margaret's skeletal corpse is hung at the center of her grave. The camera presses in on them, but we're suddenly taken back to the hall where Margaret screams, "Bleed us a king." Heidi wakes up in fright in her bed, but calms herself and Troy before going to sleep again. But hanging in her room is a large metal torture device that squeaks and sways.
I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I thought it was a pinata or something.
Like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, at least they left or something.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
That's
all right.
nice of them.
Got candy in it.
I hope so.
Pretty big. Who knows what else?
Or
It's
she's
fucking
like,
huge.
Yeah.
It is.
it's like Big Daddy from BioShock.
Oh,
it's like, she's just a cosplayer.
Yeah.
It's fine.
They said, because a lot of the stuff that we'll see in this film, a lot of the makeup effects as well, were designed by a guy called Wayne Toth.
Yeah.
And Wayne Toth worked on House of a Thousand Corpses. Like, he's a zombie
All right.
regular. But they built this like cage thing, and it's real metal, and it was like 300 pounds.
Damn.
Holy shit.
It looks good.
It looks great.
It looked
Yeah.
heavy too. Like
Yeah.
the
Oh,
way
yeah.
it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They were worried it was going to break the ceiling.
I bet.
And I gotta say, this is where we're talking at the point of interesting imagery but in a very effective sequence.
Yeah.
Everything that we've seen during this time, it works for me.
Yeah, no, so far, yes.
Okay.
I'm good. Like, here I am watching the movie and enjoying it, and I'm like, no, this is all right.
Okay.
I'm all for it. Like, this has been great the whole time.
Tell me when they lose you.
All right.
Well, you took a little pit stop on Weenie in the Butt,
That
but
is
you're
true.
back. You're back on the
no,
road.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They had to work
I
back.
think it's,
They'd earn
it's
it.
the hallway. The hallway
Yeah,
gets
yeah, yeah.
me back. I'm like, all right.
The
all right,
hallway's
let's go.
great.
Yeah.
It is.
It's so good.
And there's so many atmospheric shots of that hallway that it's like, and again, that's The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
no,
feel
yeah.
it. But we then get the title card, Wednesday. We pan across trees before settling and zooming on Heidi as she walks across a bridge with Troy on a leash. This shot is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually shot in Salem.
It
All
just
right.
looks like such a beautiful
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
I was reading that it gets very, very difficult for the locals during Halloween
Yeah.
I bet.
because of all the tourism.
Oh, yeah.
But this seems like such a lovely place to live.
It does.
Yeah.
If I'm going to put it out in the universe, we're going to go to Salem for some reason.
Hell yeah.
I want to so badly.
Hell yeah.
But she passes through a graveyard and makes her way inside of a large church. Of course, as we always talk about, no real church would allow them to film
Yeah.
because of the subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a set built at Linda Vista Hospital, which is where they filmed a lot of Insidious Chapter 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
And Blum as well.
Nice.
So he's probably like, I know a place.
yeah.
But as organ music plays, Heidi sits down in a pew, staring up at a large crucifix in front of a stained glass window. A priest, played by Julian Acosta, enters the room, kneeling at the altar before taking notice of Heidi. He asks in an almost accusatory manner, "Why are you in here?"
Yeah, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
warm
What the fuck?
welcome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
I thought you were supposed
That's
to...
great.
The flock or whatever, right?
No.
But Heidi says that she doesn't know. She was just walking by and thought she'd come in. She asks if they're closed, and he tells her that they never close. God is always open and ready to listen. This brings Heidi comfort as he sits down next to her. But the music grows tense as he places a hand on her shoulder, telling her that she's a very sad girl. She agrees, but he starts to rub her back very forcefully.
The second that he touched her shoulder, it was that like Metal Gear. I
Yes.
was like, that's
Yeah.
not right.
Absolutely.
Like immediately.
And the thing is this is why I love the music so much, because if you just watch this scene without music, it looks like a very comforting hand.
Yeah.
But the music is like, hold on.
Yeah.
This is not right.
No. She gets up to leave, but he pulls her back. He tells her that she has to understand that a war is waging in heaven, and God doesn't spare angels when they sin. He sends them to hell. The priest then unzips his pants and forces her head down. He continues, telling her that she's filthy and that Christ can't save her. Only he can. He says she must no longer worship her goat idols. She must understand what the Lord has done for her and how he has supreme mercy on her soul. He then gurgles a black bile with an upside-down cross burned into his forehead. Heidi then wakes up alone in the pew.
That was horrific.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it really got me. Like I up until like the gurgling of the squid ink or whatever the fuck it was, I really thought that this was happening.
Yes,
like I
me
did
too.
not think this was a dream.
No.
I did until shit got really bad,
Yeah.
and I was like, this can't be. I was like,
I was like, I cannot
this is
believe
fucking
yeah,
nuts.
this is beyond the pale.
Yeah.
Like I was in disbelief.
I had hoped that it was a dream.
Yeah.
And I was glad to see that the priest, not a disgusting demon pervert,
Yeah.
is kneeling very politely at her, right in front of her.
Yeah.
And he tells her that she just fell asleep.
But it's like when you have a dream that somebody did something bad and then you're mad at them in real life. Maybe it's just me that does that because I do that. But
Yes, yes,
it's
you do.
He's like, I can personally.
you can. It's done. Like I'm leaving.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care how nice you're being right now. I'm leaving. You ruined it.
And she
in my
rightfully bails.
Yeah.
I do want to say there are a lot of dream sequences in this film.
Yeah.
I'm not, because we just saw one.
Yeah. Well, no, we did.
I'm not exactly a fan of that many in a row.
Unless
All right.
it's perfect blue.
Unless it's
And
perfect
then
blue.
Whoa.
you do you, boo. You can do
Okay.
whatever the fuck you want.
Yes.
This was a lot because it's like, okay.
Yeah.
We just woke up.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that also was
Okay.
a gripe of mine. I was like, okay, you don't got to do it that much.
No.
You know what I mean? We just seen that, and I think it happens another time.
I think it does.
So it's like, all right, we
got it.
Yeah.
I think the thing is like hearing on commentary, they said that this scene was rushed because it was very strange as he was talking about them dressing the sets and building the sets. With 22 days, he said a lot of times they would show up on set and they had to dress the set before they could film. But by the time they were done, they only had like a few hours to film. And something happened very strangely with their scheduling on this. He said on commentary, I can't vouch for this, but he said they had 10 minutes to film this sequence.
With the priest?
With the priest. And so I'm like, with where it goes and how really not crucial it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so glad you're saying that because who I am as a person, that is the universe telling me we probably don't need this in this.
Yes. And this is
if I'm making this film, maybe we leave this part out, keep it in the novelization, do whatever you want to do. Maybe this is like a sign that the movie doesn't really need this. And it does. I don't think it does.
No. He could have just like stabbed her a bunch of times or something.
It could have been anything.
I don't understand.
I feel like we really want this like visceral reaction of this, religious figure doing this.
And you got it.
Like,
but at what cost?
I'm kind of good on it.
Yeah.
Like and then knowing that.
Yeah. I also want to point out that this sequence is 5 minutes long. And I would love if maybe we had more time with Herman instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or with Barbara Crampton. I love Barbara Crampton. there was no joke there.
No, I was waiting.
I just love Barbara Crampton.
Just more, please.
Just more Barbara. There is never enough Barbara Crampton is all I'm trying to say. But Heidi runs away, as I said, and she sits outside with Troy on the steps of the church. But off in the distance, she sees a figure with a gray, disfigured face walking a white goat. Whispers surround her, telling her, "We've been waiting for you."
I'm ashamed because I was so fixated on the face because I was really trying to work out a Tin Man joke, and I thought he was walking a dog.
So you're so focused on your comedy, you're not even watching the film anymore. It's like, oh, cool, it's a dog park, I guess. Yeah. Everybody's got a dog.
All I got was, is that a great value Tin Man walking a dog?
So you didn't even come up with anything, really. It's more observational than
walking
it is.
A goat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Walking goat Trude.
That was off the dome. I'm gonna stop writing jokes. Goat Trude killed it.
I will say, and we talked a little bit off mic, these gray-faced demons or whatever they are, great.
Oh, no, yeah. I really like that.
I think it's the matter of them being completely faceless.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what they are or what they represent. I was thinking maybe it could be burned.
Maybe.
Ashes.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It works.
Okay.
Yeah, you got further than me because I was just like, what the fuck is that? Great value Tin Man.
Yeah, apparently.
That's all I got.
That's all you needed. But Heidi smokes her cigarette as the man disappears and reappears again. Not sure if she saw him reappear. That could have been just for us.
Yeah.
Which, all right. Because he walks over the camera and I'm like, oh, God, that's me. Or whatever. I don't know.
That's me.
I don't know what the deal is. But standing at a bookshelf, Francis continues his research, cracking open a book titled The End of the American Witch. Again, for fans of Rob Zombie.
Rob Zombie, yeah.
The song American Witch, that's the chorus.
The American.
I love it so much. It's great. But Francis reads Hawthorne's words, which we hear in a voiceover. Be it this day, the 27th of September in 1696. We are then transported back to that day. Surrounded by flames, Margaret is dragged in that torturous cage suit that we saw in Heidi's apartment as Hawthorne proclaims her guilty of witchcraft and accepting the devil. The suit is opened by Virgil and Dean Magnus, played by Michael Berryman and the late, great Sid Haig.
For like a second.
A second.
Yeah.
No lines.
No, but there was more. Okay.
There was. Again, and it's a matter of Hawthorne being a change of character.
All right.
And there's so much more. That's the thing, is that they said that almost like there's this like video that pops up on Twitter all the time of George Lucas talking about the prequel Star Wars, and he's like, because Jar Jar is the key to all of this. and
All right.
all I feel is that Judge Mathis and Hawthorne being separate characters was the key to all of this. Because for some reason, them being combined changes so much.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be that there's a connection between Barbara Crampton's character and Sid Haig's character.
Okay.
Damn, that sucks. That really sucks that we had to lose that.
So it's kind of a bummer, but Jar Jar is the key
Yeah.
to all of
to all of it, and it sucks we lost it.
And when all of this is going on, there's like screaming,
Yeah.
and it made me think of because it was like the same scream over and over to my ears anyway. So I was back at Black Christmas, and it's like,
where's the baby? So that's a fucking soundboard. It's
when
not
you were like, he's not making the
no, he's not. He's just got a tape player. But in the novel, there's an entire scene of fucking Hawthorne and the Magnus brothers going to capture the witches.
Yeah.
Which was meant to be filmed, but again, budget and time.
Yeah.
And so there would have been stuff there.
But I just wonder, man. You know how he gets.
That's true.
Like, I feel like that maybe could have changed the whole film.
And it could have,
Like
because
the whole vibe.
the stuff that I read in the fucking novel, I'll talk about how the scene ends in a minute.
Yeah.
But there is a scene where they're going to get the witches, and I think it's Virgil, but he's talking about a recent widow in town.
Yeah.
And how he's going to try to bang her.
See, I knew it. I knew it. God damn it. I fucking knew it.
So it's like, maybe it's good.
I knew it.
Budget and time. But stumbling out of the cage, Margaret spits at her accusers and laughs. With her coven tied to trees screaming, the Magnuses chain Margaret to a spiked chair and turn the screws. Her blood dripping on the metal, Margaret watches as her sisters are burned black by flames as they howl her name in pain and devotion until they're all dead. This is a very effective way to cheaply do someone being burned to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just show them more and more charred over time.
Yeah.
You don't have to show any skin flaking.
Yeah.
It works so well.
Yeah.
But a metal mask is then placed onto Margaret's face as flames whip around her, but she just laughs. So it's not the same at all, but I think that this might have been an homage to Mario Bava's Black Sunday,
Okay.
which opens very similarly with witches.
I was going to say, I will take your word for it.
It's a great film.
All right.
It has a metal mask. Just watch it. Just watch it. But as I had said previously, this was part of that larger opening.
All right.
It was meant to open completely in 1696
Damn.
and then come back.
Oh, okay, okay.
And for whatever reason, he interspersed it. I honestly think it kind of works better interspersed
Yeah.
than a big chunk of Salem in 1696.
Yeah.
But the thing is at this point in the novel, because it kind of just cuts here,
Yeah.
but in the novel, Margaret becomes possessed by the devil.
Oh, shit.
And she starts speaking in double voices, and she is taunting them and cursing them. And somehow, along with this going on, Virgil becomes possessed as well. He stops breathing, and then I think the way that it's described is his hands are around his own neck, but he doesn't realize it.
Ooh,
Oh, shit.
that's actually really
yeah.
scary.
So he is strangling himself to death.
Okay.
And he dies
yeah.
here.
Damn.
Yeah. And so again, it's stuff that some stuff it's like, man, I really would have loved for that to be filmed.
Yeah.
And other stuff is like, man, I'm really glad.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe it's for the best.
Maybe it is for the best. On the negative side of things I would have liked to see,
Yeah.
on that mask that they put on Margaret's face, there's 2 holes in it.
Yeah.
They were going to drive nails through those holes.
Ooh.
And that would have been pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't see it. But back in the present day, Francis calls out to his wife. It made me laugh because he just finished reading that. He's like, I'm scared. Because he just saw that crazy shit happen. And then he's like, Alice. But she answers him in the bath that she's busy, but he asks if she can do a favor for him.
That bathtub.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
It's great looking. Rob Zombie said it leaked all over the place.
Oh, no. Damn it.
But the one we would get wouldn't leak.
It wouldn't
No.
leak.
So don't worry about it. But the book he's reading, he says, has the last 5 pages of Hawthorne's diary, in which he refers to Margaret and her coven as the Lords of Salem, which corresponds to the name of the band who sent Heidi the music.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know, and it doesn't.
I'm pretty sure they were all just called the Lord.
Pretty sure. It's fine. But a staff of notes appears at the bottom of Hawthorne's diary, and Francis asks Alice to play it for him. At her piano, Alice plays the notes, and it is the exact melody of the song that they sent to Heidi. Francis thinks it's odd, but Alice says it isn't really. Someone could have very easily gotten the same book, seen the notes, and wrote a song with it. It's nothing out of the ordinary.
She's not wrong.
No.
Yeah.
But this really made me feel like me bringing something like this to you guys.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not. If you have this book, other people can have it too.
I do appreciate that because, again, it's very easy for her to be like,
Yeah.
that is weird. But no.
Which would be me.
Like, burn that book.
Throw the piano out too. It's haunted
It's not
now.
pure anymore. But instead of responding to that, he just asks her to play it again. But that night at the radio station, Whitey tells some random story about walking in on his grandmother performing oral sex on his grandfather, and Herman replies that she sounds like one spicy tamale. Whitey, though, very seriously says she was a product of the Depression, man. It's like,
Let her be a spicy tamale. When you
Yeah.
take that away, you get X. So, I mean,
That is, yeah.
let the old people need to get it in
Yeah.
too.
get it in me. I do want to say it made me laugh because nobody asked you to bring up the story, dude.
No,
That was all.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
brought this.
That was all. And first of all, if you're planning your radio banter beforehand, you're like, well, I guess I could talk about the time. No, you can't. You don't need to do that. But anyway, Heidi stumbles in very late and catching Herman and Whitey off guard. Heidi sits down, not at all using her radio voice, asking if she missed anything. Herman says with Heidi here, they can make their big announcement. A very concerned Whitey hits a drum roll on the soundboard, the only soundboard that actually
That should be.
that I'll allow. But Herman announces that the Lords are coming to Salem for one night only. So they're the Lords again.
Yeah.
Thought they were the Hell Satans. But the show is free and they've got all the tickets. Herman then plays their record again, but Heidi imagines the coven by the fire, playing rudimentary instruments at Margaret's command as she glorifies Satan and calls for his return to Earth.
So that wasn't on the track, right?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think they had a microphone
It just
back then. And
it tripped me out though because something is clearly wrong with Heidi.
yes.
Throw on Layla with the coda, pull her to the side and see what's wrong.
Layla with the coda.
Don't announce the show and then play the music that literally made her sick
Yeah.
the last time y'all played it.
But in all fairness, I mean, in Whitey's defense, she could have just had a bad pancake. It might not have been about the music at all.
I get no. At the studio too.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, 2 times.
All right, maybe we should.
100% of the time you've played this, she's gotten sick.
All right, we'll play Layla with the coda.
We'll play Layla with the coda
And we'll,
pull her to the side and see what's wrong. Don't
Yes.
just, well, now we have a big announcement now that Heidi's here and clearly not herself. Now let's play
Let's play the song
shit.
that she fucking can't stand.
Yes.
Where did the tickets come from?
The Lords. I have no
But
fucking
they're
idea.
not a real band.
No, they're not.
Yeah, I don't.
Who
Satan.
printed these?
Yeah.
No idea.
The devil, clearly.
Yes.
Well, because he's like, we got the tickets, and then he does the like, so you
Yeah.
can hear it on the microphone, and then he's like, but
We
you
got-
don't need tickets.
Yeah,
'cause
but it's free. So why do we have the tickets?
Yeah, then what?
They never had to mention the tickets.
Nope.
They could have just said, and did they book
It's
the
a
time?
free
At
show.
Yeah, free.
Yeah, they're like, okay, we're going to be on November 1st, we're having a show?
Yeah.
Because they had to call. Is there a
Yeah,
marquee?
who
Is
even
there?
fucking
I don't
set
know.
that up?
Well, wait, and all.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
I can't say why it makes sense yet, but we'll get there. This I did want to point out as well. In the novel, this is where Barbara Crampton's character has a delusion of herself in the mirror. And what happens is she sees herself doing things in the mirror and she starts acting them out herself. So her reflection cuts off all her hair. She does the same thing. It carves the sigil into her chest. She does the same thing. the reflection kills the reflection's husband, she does the same thing.
Oh, shit.
And the scene ends with her calling the radio station, asking them to play the song again.
Play the Lords, man. Nobody rocks like whatever.
The Lords of Salem?
Yeah,
no, the station. I can't remember the name of it.
WIQC.
Nobody rocks like WIQC. Here would be more appropriate to do something like that instead of like literally
The first time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so confusing to me because there's something interesting about every time this record is played, a woman in Salem kills a man.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But pacing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just do that. So I think they did it right. Would have loved to have seen more Barbara Crampton, of course.
Yeah, we know.
Okay. So I don't have to say it every time. I'll say it every time just for safety.
What if she clicks on the episode and just scrolls to the middle? She's got to know.
I would want
at
that.
every point.
That's why I'm doing it.
Right.
But just then, Heidi begins to cough, rushing out of the room, and Whitey follows her. Herman takes off his headphones and punches the desk, which I thought was very, very sad because you know what he's thinking.
I didn't. This is when I was like, why the hell is he so mad? And then in a little bit, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
This is why I wish that they had a more like developed relationship, I think.
In the novel, it is, and I know I keep saying in the novel.
It's usually me. I'm glad to just listen.
In the novel, it's explained that she was about to lose her job. And the station manager talked to Herman, and Herman put his job on the line to save hers.
Ah, all right.
And so it's the fatherly energy, but it's also her friend.
Yeah.
And he put himself on the line for her.
Yeah.
The thing is he is such a great actor. Why would you not?
I don't know. Even on commentary, Rob Zombie said that there was an entire arc of the two of them having more scenes together.
Yeah.
But he said that he cut it because he didn't feel like it worked completely. But I think that it would work very well.
Yeah.
It would make us care more. And ultimately, that's what you want.
Yeah.
As much shit. Was this movie 4 hours long?
I don't know.
All the shit that you've said has been cut or was supposed to, like, God, it feels a little long on its own.
It does. And honestly, that's, the scene with the priest, I would have cut that probably completely.
Yeah.
And then you have a leaner 95-minute movie.
Yeah.
And then maybe even if it is 98, 99 minutes, you do have more of this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know.
No, yeah, because not saying anything, but like, we never get any kind of indication that she's religious or that. Why would you go to the church in the first place?
Oh, like it's any kind of turmoil?
Yeah, or like it's something, like that was somewhere she went for comfort, or she had,
or that could,
like,
somebody in her group meeting could
maybe
say something
said
and she turns.
Yeah.
That would have made sense.
Yeah,
Why, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, get rid of that.
And then
it almost feels a
more
little
character.
cliched to the point. I mean, I guess she dreamt about a cross or whatever, but it just feels like we need to get her in this church so that this disgusting thing can happen.
Yeah. I mean, part of me is like, look, if I saw a beast in flames, you would kind of attribute that to like Satan.
Rock and roll, man.
To the coolest fucking thing ever. But I could see how someone could take.
I was like, man, that was metal as fuck.
Yeah. See that fire, man? But I mean, I don't know. I probably would have cut that. Long story short.
Right. I love that was like 20 minutes ago and we're still like
why did they do that? It didn't work. But Heidi cries alone in the bathroom, and Whitey knocks on the door outside, asking her to unlock it so he can help. But we cut to later in her apartment as she plays with some clearly haunted clown toy. I don't quite understand.
Yeah.
It's cheering her up. So, I mean, I guess good for her. But in the hallway, we see rats spilling out of apartment 5 into the hallway.
Those are surprise rats.
Yes.
The bad kind.
No. If we're meeting a rat at 6,
yeah, that's fine.
we prepared none of these. And there's tons of them.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But we then get a title card reading Thursday. Francis meets with A.J. Kennedy, the author of The End of the American Witch, played by Richard Fancy, Mr. Lippman himself.
Hell yeah.
Rob Zombie said that he had a scene in Halloween that was cut.
Yeah.
And so he brought him back here to kind of make it up for him.
That's
All
cool.
right.
I thought that was pretty nice.
Yeah.
But Francis says that he has questions about his book, and Kennedy jokes that he hoped somebody besides his dear old mother bought a copy and is glad to see that he has one.
That was cute.
I thought so too. And again, there's like these little like sparks of character.
Yeah.
Like that was just a nice little moment.
Yeah.
But he puts on his glasses, asking if it's research for a new book, and Francis says that it could be, but he's really just trying to get some information. He tells him everything about the record and the radio station, but as soon as he mentions the Lords of Salem, Kennedy smirks and takes off his glasses. He says that what Francis is asking about is John Hawthorne's diary, and while he doesn't have a copy of the full diary, he has read it in full himself. He says in it, all he found was Hawthorne's obsession with Margaret and her coven. He thought that they were making music in the woods to possess the women of Salem, and he would eventually kill them for it. Francis already knows most of this, but considering the diary ends with their deaths, he asks if there's anything else Kennedy can expand on. Kennedy chuckles as he tells Francis about the curse of Margaret Morgan. He says in the final sections of the diary, which he considers to be complete nonsense, it says that during the execution, while Margaret and her coven burned, she put a curse on the women of Salem. Something to the tune of, "Forever deaths of the daughters, daughters." She also called Hawthorne's bloodline the vessel by which the devil's child would inherit the earth. But he says, whatever the fuck that meant. It's very clear.
It's pretty clear.
And
pretty
isn't
explicit.
this your work? Like,
Yes.
you've been studying this shit?
And he's just chuckling.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
Oh, that. A curse. Yeah, sure. It's like, come on, dude. I did appreciate this, though. It did kind of remind me in Suspiria when Susie goes to meet the guys and talk about witches and stuff.
Yeah.
It felt like a little homage, which I appreciated. But I really don't like that. It's very clear what Margaret meant.
Yes.
Could not have made it more clear. But we cut to Heidi, who sits on the couch in Whitey's apartment. She says she couldn't take it a moment longer at her place, and Whitey brings her a cup of tea and sits down next to her as they watch an old movie. Whitey makes a noise after he sips his tea, which after years of knowing him, Heidi takes it to mean that he has something on his mind. I was like, it looks like you've got something to say.
Yeah.
Do you? But she assures him that she's clean. And he says that he knows, but he tells her that she has to admit her behavior at the station last night was kind of freaky. She tells him that he doesn't know the half of it, and finally tells him that every time she hears that Lords record, it fucks with her. But before she can answer Whitey's follow-up question, she starts to cough again. She grabs a napkin to cough into, but we see that she's coughing up blood.
I thought this was about Margaret Morgan, not Arthur Morgan.
Aw.
Womp womp.
Don't do that.
That's
I'm
just
sad. No.
Jeez. But he tells her to stay calm as he calls 911 for an ambulance. When Heidi raises her head, she sees that Whitey is surrounded by those same gray-faced men, only this time they're dressed in all white, almost like old-fashioned doctors. On commentary, two of the men, Rob Zombie said, are played by Walter Phelan, who played Dr. Satan,
All right.
and John Five.
Oh, that's cool.
So I thought that was cool. But Heidi points at them, but she can't speak through her coughs. Suddenly, one of the figures reaches a hand onto Whitey's shoulder, and his eyes go immediately white, and he sinks to the floor unconscious. The switch with his eyes, I thought was like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
It's subtle again.
Yeah.
It feels like pure, like, low-budget 1970s.
All the imagery
But it
here,
worked?
Yeah.
is really cool. What they're wearing, them standing around him, the eye, all of this worked for me. It was
Yeah.
very creepy.
But the gray men advance on her, their faces completely covered to where they appear faceless. A voice, possibly the man from the television, describes those in hell, declaring that their eyes will burn forevermore with sights of the tormented, and that their pain will be as the pain of a woman tied down, unable to move, as a fiery worm eats into her vitals. The woman screams for unconsciousness, but there is no unconsciousness in hell. The gray men hold Heidi on the countertop as they use scissors to cut into her abdomen. They pull out her intestines, reaching further to find a squirming, lobster-like organism and hold it in their hands.
I was like, hey, man, I need those guts.
Yeah.
Never mind. You can have it.
You can keep that.
You can have that part.
But the voice repeats that the worm eats and eats and eats as Heidi screams. But once again, she wakes up in Jared's apartment. That's for our creep and no sleep.
Yeah.
Yes, it was all a dream.
It was all a dream. Again, we get it.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm torn, is because the imagery is cool, but then it keeps ending the same.
Yeah.
It's
And-
like, so is Whitey okay?
Sure. She never went to his apartment, I guess.
But that, again, the on and off, it was that
Yeah.
too. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm getting into this. And then now it was a dream.
It wasn't real.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I would have preferred she woke up on Whitey's couch.
Yes.
That would have been
all
fine.
right.
But back in her apartment, so none of this.
None of it
Yeah.
happened.
Okay. But in her bathroom, Heidi takes the last of her medication. She attempts to rock herself out of everything she's been thinking and feeling lately, but a mural on her wall featuring 5 prints of the Rocket Man from the 1940 film King of the Rocket Men
Very good.
begin to bleed from their eyes and mouths as Margaret whispers Heidi over and over. So again, this is more with the masks.
It looked
Yeah.
really cool
No,
too.
yeah.
And I didn't really catch that motif until Rob Zombie mentioned it.
Okay.
You do. I mean, you have the film earlier,
Yeah.
Margaret's mask,
Yeah.
these masks here,
The Tin Men.
the Tin Men,
Tin Men.
Tin Men. But later that night, Heidi heads to a dingy part of town, knocking on a red door with white skulls printed on it. Once the door opens, Heidi exchanges a few folded up bills for a small bag of heroin.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. But we then get the title card, Friday. In her apartment, while an old film plays in the background, Heidi sits at the edge of her bed, freebasing heroin as her French tape plays, and she struggles to keep up with it. On commentary, Rob Zombie said that the film playing is The Phantom of the Opera, which is another
Mask?
mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I can't confirm that,
Yeah.
but I trust him.
All right.
But suddenly, there's a knock on her door. In a striped sweater, which has kind of become pretty iconic
Yeah.
in a lot of horror circles.
It's really funny because it's at this point that I was like, oh, that's her on the
Yeah,
cover.
dude.
I literally did not put it together.
It is funny to me that they spoil that on the
Yeah.
cover. But in that striped sweater, Heidi sinks into her bed. I thought she wasn't going to answer the door,
Yeah.
Me too.
so I was surprised to see her turn off the TV
Yeah.
and head straight for the door to answer it. She looks through the peephole, and through it, she finds Lacey, Megan, and Sunny in the hall bearing tea and treats.
I was like, not the witches at Eastwood.
Yeah.
Is there tannis root in that tea?
Yes. But she opens the door up for them, and they tell her that she doesn't look well, and they thought she could use some company. She invites them inside, and they follow her to her bedroom. At home, Francis continues his work on his laptop, which again surprised me,
Yeah.
because this does not feel
No.
like
modern.
he should have a
Yeah.
laptop.
no. But he stumbles across a fan page for the H-Team, and at the top of the page, he sees that Heidi's real name is Adelheid Elizabeth Hawthorne.
No shit.
All
Yeah.
right.
It's funny because when she was like, it was deliberately addressed to me or whatever, she was like, damn internet. It's like, no, it's literally like,
Yeah.
you did not even have to dig.
He just Googled once. But Francis then plugs her name into a family tree website, and as he sips his red wine, he very easily, too easily,
Yeah. You usually got to pay for that shit.
yeah, he went all the way
Yeah.
back to the 1600s.
Yeah.
Follows the branches all the way down to Reverend Jonathan Hawthorne.
Come on, that's fucking hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
Is it?
It's a bit lazy. I'll say that. I do want to say that this does count as a microfiche scene.
Yes.
All right.
But come on, that's laughably
It's-
that's too convenient.
It is. Even funnier because he goes, fuck me!
Right, come on, you knew.
Yeah.
Stop that.
And it's funny to me because he already saw the name Hawthorne.
Yeah.
It's not
That
like
should have been
if he had just used the family tree and traveled down, that might have been better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think the family tree would have said Heidi LaRock. So
No.
he had to,
well,
he had to
unless
find her name.
unless she built it. I mean, I don't know. But this is what I'm talking about with the budget and the time constraints. Because on commentary, Zombie said that this scene that we just saw
Yeah.
is one of 20 scenes that were filmed in the film's prop house. They were connector scenes that they had one day to film. And so they're switching things in and out. The scene that we just saw in Whitey's apartment was another one of them.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's all these bridge scenes.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, the fact that they got all of that done
Yeah.
is kind of incredible.
Yeah.
It is impressive, but this whole reveal or this, it's to me lazy. Like this is
No, it is.
very
Yeah.
lazy.
I'm trying to think of a better way that they could have come across it, but maybe not the fan site.
Maybe not.
But it is kind of a clue to something that is a pretty cool reveal to me at the end of the film.
All right.
So I'll 50-50.
Yeah.
I'll kind of allow it. But back at her apartment, the three women sit in bed with Heidi, telling her to rest and not to worry. She falls asleep as Lacey rubs her head. But with Alice asleep on the couch, Francis calls Heidi on the telephone, but unfortunately for him, it's Megan that picks up, and she tells him that he has the wrong number and to never call back again.
It's the gaslighting for me.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, okay, it was kind of obvious, but now it's clear that y'all are up to some shady shit.
100%. Shrugging it off, Lacey tells Sonny to get the chair. The camera then finds the three sisters in the hallway with Heidi seated in a wheelchair in front of them. Troy, locked in the bathroom, whines, barks, and scratches for Heidi to no consequence.
Poor Troy. Is this the last time we
That's the
see
last
him?
time. We never see Troy again. There's a problem, dog. But as they wheel Heidi to apartment 5, Lacey asks the father to give them the venom and fill them with his essence. Megan begs for it to burn through their souls and minds, and Sonny says that they trample on the cross.
The fact that they're in the hallway doing this and nobody else is like, I have work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, no,
It's like, can
nobody,
you fucking... I know you're the landlady, but god damn.
shut the fuck up.
It's 3 a.m.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Also, I was like, this really sucks because I know that there are I would say everyone has a piece of shit in the family tree.
Oh,
At
yeah.
least
Right,
one,
right.
if
Oh,
not
yeah.
many.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not her fault.
No, but she's forced.
Yeah.
It's the sins of the father thing.
Yeah.
But the prayer probably sounds familiar because it's the exact same prayer that the Lords of Salem were saying in 1696.
All right.
Yeah.
The thing with this one, though, is that it ends a little differently, with Megan asking Satan to guide Heidi, who is still in the shackles of the oppressor, and to help her break free of his tyrant ways. Sonny kind of rubs up on Heidi a little bit,
Yeah.
asking Satan to entice her to take the precious bite from whence she shall be delivered. They raise their hands to the sky, aggrandizing Satan, and Lacey then kneels down in front of apartment 5 and draws the sigil for the Lords of Salem in chalk on the floor. The door then opens, and they lift Heidi to her feet. Through the drab hall and doorway of the apartment building, Heidi steps into a beautiful and lavishly massive theater.
My apartment doesn't look like this.
Yeah.
Why does apartment 5 get all the good shit?
What are they paying?
Literally.
I thought it was, okay, firstly, the shock of seeing this through the door frame,
Yeah.
it got me.
And it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're telling me that, like, the Satan lives here? Like, Little
The-
Horn rents an apartment here?
Well, and maybe it's a portal.
She
All
said
right,
that. She
all
That's
said
the only
that
thing I
the
can-
price was right.
Yeah, that is true.
She
Right.
did say that.
It's $666.
I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll move in tomorrow.
I do not give a fuck. But this is a real theater in California.
It's stunning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It looks real good.
In the colors, the red and the yellow.
Yeah.
Or gold, I should say.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. They said that what they did was they rebuilt the hallway in this theater.
Oh, shit.
And so they were able to just push through, and it's like one seamless
nice. It looks good.
thing. It really does. But as she steps forward onto a sprawling red carpet, she peers up at a gorgeous staircase surrounded by towering gold pillars. As she makes her way up the staircase, we see 2 red neon crucifixes in the background, much like the one that enticed her earlier. Heidi's face is now painted like a skull, with the sigil in black on her forehead, and she makes her way to the top of the stairs. At the top stands Eamon, played by Gabriel Pimental, and he spreads his arms wide as light beams around him and the chorus reaches a crescendo. Now, half of what Rob Zombie was inspired by with this is a turkey. Now,
Listen.
I'm not
That's
joking.
what he said?
That's what he said.
Why a turkey? Please explain.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. I thought there was more.
That was all he said? And then he
Nobody
moved
asked-
on?
Well,
Nobody has
was
to
it.
follow.
That was it?
there was another thing that he said that I'll get to in a second that kind of bothered me because I totally disagree with it. But until then, gobble gobble, motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I don't
When
like it
can
either.
you- When can you tell us the other thing?
In about 2 more sentences.
Okay, go.
But as I said, he spreads his arms wide, and a clock chimes as Eamon screeches as long strands of intestine stretch out of his open belly, and Heidi holds them in her shaking hands.
So he's just one of those test your strength machines now.
Yes,
What?
pretty much.
What the fuck's happening?
She does not appear very strong.
No.
What Rob Zombie said was that this was his representation in this film of Satan.
I got that.
I understand him saying that, but when I Googled Eamon, which is the name of this character,
Targaryen?
no.
Sorry.
I was given that Eamon is the demon of reproduction. So why don't we just have him be Eamon?
I felt like
What?
she's climbing these stairs to see Satan. I thought that this was Satan's lair.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
And so
Well,
imagine my
okay.
disappointment.
I think I would have preferred, I think it's fine, just a different costume.
My note here
Something.
my note here was he just couldn't help himself, could he?
Yeah.
No, he
we
could not.
were so fucking close.
He loved it.
I
I
did not.
disagree.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan.
I don't know. I don't even need a giant hulking monster. Just scary. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that the Beelzebub was way scarier.
Yeah.
And the
The
roar.
skunk ape?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
skunk ape, make him Satan.
Yeah.
it
Bring
just
him back.
Yeah.
it did not do it for me. It looks like meat. I mean, if
It
you're
looks
going for turkey,
weird.
that's what
Apparently
you're going
it
for.
is, yeah.
It didn't I did not like it. I
Yeah.
can't stress enough. I didn't like
All
it.
I can think is that Rob Zombie is obsessed with the 70s. Turkey was an insult.
So this is a jive
So
turkey?
this is, yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, it's
No,
not a
not a
jive.
jive. Yeah, no,
it's one of
it's
those
not. Yeah.
bad turkeys you've heard so much about. But I will say, minus that reveal, I think the entire sequence is shot beautifully.
Yes,
it
That's
is.
why it's so. That's the point. That's why it's so disappointing.
It is, but it's right there to just take you out of what's happening.
Yeah,
Because it's like, what the fuck am I looking at? Why?
a turkey.
Yeah.
I will shout out the actor for really committing.
No,
to
yeah.
the-
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because the shaking and the. I mean, again, like you said, just a better costume.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
else is so spot on.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't love the with the shaking and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
I didn't love that. But if he looks different, I'll even take that.
yeah.
The costume was not it.
And we don't need a classic devil.
Yeah,
We
no.
don't need the pitchfork or anything.
No.
But maybe not a turkey.
Not
No,
a turkey.
Not at all.
I'm pretty sure he said turkey. He might have said chicken. I'm pretty sure it was turkey.
Either
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
way, dude.
Whatever. Yeah.
Either way.
Whatever protein.
Whatever.
I don't want it to be meat.
Yeah.
I don't care which one.
I love him trying to make a distinction. Well, it might have been chicken, guys. Does that change anything for you? Or?
No.
Okay. But in the hallway waits Lacey, Megan, and Sunny. The door to apartment 5 slowly creaks open, and Heidi steps toward them, her face no longer painted. They kneel to her, looking up at her, seemingly proud of and in awe of her. Slow piano plays as the camera glides away from them down the hallway. The women then put her to bed in her apartment. Her comforter is the same pattern of the floor of the Red Room in the Black Lodge on Twin Peaks.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Didn't know if that was a Lynch nod.
I'm sure.
I allow it. But out of nowhere, Eamon steps towards her bed with a tense music cue. We then get another title card, Saturday. So I will say, when he does step toward her, I was not expecting that.
No.
And it did make me jump. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Because I think the way the music hits kind of punches you.
Yeah.
But in their apartment, Francis walks through the kitchen with his briefcase, telling Alice that he has to head out to the museum to see about a new exhibit.
I thought he had walked into a cafe.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, this is their fucking house.
Yeah.
It is stunning.
It is very nice. Rob Zombie had said that whenever they found this location,
Yeah.
it was fucking awful.
And
And so, yeah, he
Yeah.
said they redressed it and everything and made it look as good as it does.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks good.
I want to live there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This apartment we can live in.
Yeah.
But she asks what they're going to do when he retires, and he cynically says that they'll probably sell the place and turn it into a Starbucks. But he says he'll be back in an hour and kisses his wife. They say that they love each other, and he's off.
they're so cute.
Uh-huh.
This whole, it felt like I've only got 1 day left till retirement. Like, I was like, something horrible is about to happen.
Yeah, it's kind of, they spell it out for
It's
you.
a little on the nose.
They do. But we then see Whitey riding his bike to the pier and looking around thoughtfully. I thought he was going to have his George Costanza moment with the pigeons. But instead, he calls Heidi to check in on her. Or was it Jerry that ran with the pigeons?
It was both of them.
Okay,
Both
making
of
sure.
them
Making sure. But he instead calls Heidi to check in on her. In a very weak voice, she tells him everything's all right, but he asks if she wants to grab a bite and talk about things before the show. She declines, saying that she's not very hungry anymore.
Yeah, the word anymore kind of changes everything.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of that.
Why would you not call that out as a very fucking strange thing to say?
Yeah.
He doesn't.
What do you mean? What do you mean anymore? Since when does anymore start? Like, what?
Yeah, we had pancakes 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So what's going on? But we then zoom in on a drawing of a little girl seemingly wearing a bear costume while also holding 8 strings attached to the tails of white mice. Whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All I put was what the fuck is going on.
But Whitey still offers to swing by so they can head to the show together, but Heidi says that she'll get there on her own. Before she can hang up, Whitey tells her that he knows he didn't understand in the past, and he's not sure that he understands now, but regardless of that, he's here for her. She says that she knows, that she'll always know, and then she says goodbye. So I thought it was a surprisingly human moment for Whitey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not something I normally expect in a Rob Zombie film.
Yeah.
No offense.
Then it's just like fart sounds and like a toilet flushing. He's
Well,
like, sorry.
it's Whitey.
I can't stop.
That's just his only speed. But we see in Heidi's apartment, standing in the room with her, is Lacey. She asks Heidi if she loves him, and holding back tears, Heidi says yes. But on the streets of Salem, Francis makes his way to Heidi's apartment building, meeting Lacey outside, who is sweeping leaves from the walkway. He asks if Heidi Hawthorne lives here, and she asks if he means Adelheid Elizabeth Hawthorne. Don't like that.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, that's exactly who I mean.
Yeah.
And why would he ask for Heidi Hawthorne?
Great question.
Like,
Yeah.
none of that. Okay.
But he does, and I'm sorry, her saying that her full name,
Yeah.
No,
we're
thank
leaving.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll try
Oh,
calling her
yeah.
again from a payphone at the coffee shop.
Not connected
Something.
to me.
But he's just like, yeah, Adelheid Elizabeth Hawthorne. Lacey tells him that he looks familiar, but he just chalks it up to her possibly seeing him around since the Wax Museum is nearby. So on commentary, Rob Zombie said that they were actually going to film at that Wax Museum in Salem and have it be like showing him at work and everything. But for whatever reason, the Wax Museum didn't like their script and said that it was not historically accurate.
Damn.
All
Thing
right.
is that they let Bewitched film there in 1970.
That is historical.
Yeah, apparently. And he was like, so we're not as historically accurate as Bewitched. But she asks if he's a friend or a foe, and he tells her that he's more of an acquaintance. But she introduces herself, saying that she looks after Heidi. We see Heidi sitting somewhat catatonic in front of her open fridge as Lacey invites Francis inside, saying that Heidi actually stepped out, but they can wait for her in Lacey's apartment.
No, thank you. How does I look
Yeah.
after Heidi? How does that not fucking sound weird?
Oh, it sounds very weird.
Yeah, and you know that not that long ago, she was just fine.
Yeah.
You just saw
Yeah.
her.
She was flirting with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now she needs to be looked after?
Yeah.
So I tried to call you at your phone number.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that it's not your phone number and also to never call back here.
Mm-hmm.
I come to your address to visit you and now I have to wait in somebody else's apartment. I'm leaving.
Yeah, there's no way.
Like, this is very strange.
Yeah.
Something wrong is happening here.
Is it just being polite?
I mean, look,
Maybe.
there's being polite, but you gotta know something's wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no
Because this
way
lady
you
is
can't.
scary.
Yeah. There's no way.
And she doesn't even really try to hide it?
Not at all.
Even if, because she seems a little younger than him. And this lady, obviously, this is your peer.
Mm-hmm.
even you can tell she's acting funny just because it's not, oh, we're about the same age. I can trust you. No. You're acting weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, these kids, they don't take care of themselves. No. You're acting funny.
Yeah.
I'll go wait in the car or I'll go somewhere else. It's fine.
It would have made more sense if she kind of put that air on, but she's just like, no, I look after. It's like, what the fuck?
It's like, well, I'll be at the wax museum.
Yeah.
But inside Lacey's apartment, Francis sits at the table and he's joined by Megan and Sonny. They engage in small talk about his marriage and he tells him that it'll be 26 years this November. He says no children, which Megan uses as the diving off point to just talk shit about kids in general.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I also hate kids.
Kids suck.
This is an interrogation. It quickly becomes an interrogation. And I think it's Sonny. He says he's married and she's like, happily.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Ecstatically. Yes. I was like, oh my God.
But Megan says that most kids have very little substance to offer.
All right.
But she says very rarely a special child appears.
This is fucking weird.
Yeah.
The thing is, y'all really need to stop letting her be the one that talks to the people you bring in.
She goes too deep.
Yeah.
Too fast. But Francis says that he never thought of it like that. He just didn't like the idea of changing diapers. Megan reacts with a humorous display of disgust, and Lacey joins the party. She says to not mind Megan, but then asks Francis why he's here. He tells them about the record that Heidi played on the show, as well as the Lords. Sonny rubs his arm seductively and asks him if he's a little too old to like shit like that.
She's out of pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, that was very odd and coarse for no reason.
Yeah.
And there's nothing modern about that track at all.
Yeah. No shit.
Like, aren't you a little young to be liking shit?
Yeah. No, there you go.
But Francis excuses it, saying that he was a guest on the show when he heard it. Lacey asks Sonny to grab her some sugar for their tea, and as she leaves the room, Francis continues, saying that he just had some info that he thought Heidi would find interesting. Lacey says that Francis strikes her as a man who would normally mind his own business. Francis laughs, but Lacey scolds him and asks why he's laughing. Is something suddenly funny?
Don't you like clowns?
Yeah.
Aren't we fucking funny? No, it is so tense and uncomfortable. And he's doing that thing where you kind of try to lighten the situation, and they're not letting it happen.
No, and honestly, so far, this really works for me because I completely understand trying to do that.
Yeah.
And for them to react the way that they do, that's socially unacceptable.
It's like my wife is calling me. I gotta split. Sorry.
Yeah. We're making a wax
Something.
I gotta go.
I'll wax anything but here.
I'm gonna head out. But he does say that he's gonna leave and tries to excuse himself, but Lacey stops him. She says, "You know what I think?" Francis has no idea. But Lacey posits that he's here to get inside Heidi's head and fuck her brain. She asks, and again, I apologize.
I was waiting for it.
She asks, did you come here to stick your nosy cock inside her head and fuck her brain, Mr. Matthias? Bit graphic.
All right.
Very graphic. And more in line with dialogue that I would expect from Rob Zombie, but I didn't hate it here.
It oddly worked.
It's like very vile and jarring, but I think it's like at this moment, you're not joking your way out of this. This is not pleasant tea. This is not small talk. Like, this is aggressive and it's scary.
And honestly, when they were persecuted by men, witches, you can totally understand why she would call upon the phallic.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of works. And it honestly works even better because they haven't been fucking saying this shit all film.
Yeah. No, yeah.
If it did, we'd just be, I guess more.
Yeah.
I guess everybody talks like that.
Y'all talk like that in Salem? God damn.
That's why they wouldn't let you film at the museum. But Francis tries to excuse himself again, but he is struck in the back of the head with a cast iron pan by Sonny. He clatters to the floor, Sonny admitting that it felt good. Upstairs, Heidi puts her ear to the floor, the shot somewhat mirrored by Francis lying in a heap in Lacey's apartment. the sisters find Francis's copy of The End of the American Witch, calling out its biases against witchcraft and the aggrandizement of John Hawthorne, assuming that's what he's come to fill Heidi's head with. Lacey calls for Sonny to finish what she started, and Heidi listens in as Sonny beats Francis to death with the pan. But later, with Francis's bloody head wrapped in a cloth, the sisters smoke together and lament his death, a waste of a good man who was never going to be able to stop anything. Megan offers them tea, and they move on from it quite quickly. But upstairs, the light fixtures sway back and forth in the hall as Beelzebub roars. So I will say, his death is a little anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I wanted more from him because I thought he was kind of a decent character.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And he was a decent person.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of a shame to see somebody like him die so randomly and violently.
Yeah.
And to fall for their charade.
Yeah, I get he seemed very laid back, but I feel like when she was like, do you think this is a joke? I would have got out of my chair and been like,
That's fine.
okay, I'm sorry.
That's the thing too, and he put up no fight.
Yeah, no.
Not at all.
Because when she hit him the first time, he's just sitting on the floor, and then he just
That hurt. What the
yeah.
fuck?
It is. Now that you say that, it's like they used him to get us the information of who Heidi's related to.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
then he wasn't needed anymore, so they just killed him. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it again, kind of lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he had to die. There was no way.
Did it
Right.
happen like that in the book?
In the book, it's a little more graphic. And it is... Patricia Quinn was a little upset because in the book and in the original script, Sonny hits him with the frying pan.
Okay.
But then Megan stabs him to death.
Damn.
All right.
And so in this, Megan's just kind of there. She doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But,
All right.
yeah. It's like, no, more frying pan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could have been more balanced. But I don't know. He has to die, but did he have to die like this?
Yeah.
But later that night, Whitey arrives to pick up Heidi, but as soon as he heads inside, he finds the sisters waiting on the stairs. He tries to pass them to go upstairs, but they stop him, telling him that he looks nervous. He says that he isn't and starts up the stairs again, and they tell him to take care of Heidi because she means the world to them.
Red flag city.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that y'all are sitting here in a tableau waiting for me.
Uh-huh.
You know my name. And it's weird. They let go up. They're like, he's stupid. He doesn't. It's fine. He can go up the stairs. The guy with the information, we got to intercept.
Yeah, Whitey doesn't know anything. He just knows farts and
Waka waka.
and it's weird because the clown. It's weird to me because Lacey has had to have met him before.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it would be weird for me if I'm Whitey that this is how they're acting now.
Yeah.
But he does head upstairs and he bangs on Heidi's door. A gray-faced figure in a nun's habit stands in the corner. Red light fills the room, and we find Heidi asleep on her sofa, and her shorts are hilariously pulled down just enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have. You really thought we were only going to see her ass once, you fools. It's unnecessary.
He can't help himself. It did make me laugh, though, because they go back to a shot outside, and they come back and her pants are pulled down differently.
Yeah.
He's like, no, that needs to be in there.
Yeah, I don't care about continuity as long as we see about 75% of her ass. But Heidi answers the door, hugging Whitey and telling him that she told him not to come. She begins to cry, and Lacey pops up out of nowhere in the hall, telling Heidi to tell Whitey to wait outside. She does as she's told, and Whitey is like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, it feels like a mean mom. Like, tell your little friend. It's like, I'm sorry, Mom.
I did appreciate that he's at least calling it out.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It looks like she's being held captive.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
It does. Heidi, however, just tells him to wait outside and shuts the door. Lacey links his arm and takes him away.
Please don't touch me.
In the novel at this point, Whitey is murdered.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so it was nice to me that we do see him again.
Yeah.
Because I thought, I was like, oh, they're just fucking
Yeah.
done.
But the way that I am glad that Whitey lived,
Uh-huh.
the way that this transitions was really weird to me.
It's oddly cut. I will
Yeah.
say
Yes.
that.
Because I was like, oh no. Oh, they're fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
What was I worried about?
But we cut to people seated inside the theater for the show while Herman waits outside. In the cold autumn air, Whitey arrives with a very out of it Heidi. So he is alive,
That's
like we
what
said.
I was like, oh, they're fine.
Cool.
No need to worry.
No.
Yeah.
Herman demands to know what's going on with her, but Whitey suggests that they just get through the night and worry about it later. As they argue, Heidi slips into a side entrance of the theater, but she looks back at Herman and Whitey, saying goodbye to them as the door slowly closes. The theater goes dark, and a curtain rises as the music from the opera house plays. A blinding light fills the theater, and we see Heidi is standing alone in the balcony. On stage are Lacey, Megan, and Sonny, dressed in tattered clothing with the sigil painted on their foreheads. So this is where I was like, okay, well, maybe they did make the
They
tickets.
arranged it. Yeah.
They called the box office. They're like, we're going to have a show. But they kneel and clasp hands, beginning a prayer. Lord, hear us. We are ready to bring your precious child to the world. They admonish the church and pledge their allegiance to Satan, repeating, Satan, come to us. We are ready.
I thought we came to see a rock show.
Yeah.
Is this the opening act? I don't. It's a little avant-garde, but sure. But the lights flicker around them as shadows move on the stage behind them. They slowly come into view and are revealed to be Margaret and the Lords of Salem.
Yeah.
What's weird, Rob Zombie said that he originally wasn't going to have them return at all. But I was like, I want to see them again.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad. Because there's something really cool about them somehow being
Yeah.
Right.
a
He
part
was
of this.
He was just going to fill the stage with a bunch of turkeys.
No, don't.
Be honest.
Somebody finally talked to him and they're like,
Yeah.
Rob, look at me. But Margaret cackles, welcoming the whores of Salem.
Wait, now we're the whores?
I don't know if
Yeah,
we've always...
Is this fucking play about us? I've never even seen
I
that
was
show.
going to say, just seen the memes, but...
They're good.
She then says that she can taste the foul stench of their ancestors rotting in the folds of filth between their legs.
Are you gonna play or what? It's
I
like,
know.
God
Everything
damn,
is about like vagina and vulva with you. Like, can you stop?
Where's that weird violin?
Yeah,
Please.
Made of bones and shit. Like, come on.
You're really just a one note. Like, this is enough.
I thought you loved. Like,
I know, right?
what the fuck is happening? But she tells them that the blood of their deaths shall be the eternity of their resurrection. She then calls out to Heidi, calling her the One. She says, "We've been waiting for you, Heidi. We've always been waiting." Because Heidi's the caretaker.
Right. She's always been there.
Always. Take a shot. But the Lords of Salem begin to play their greatest hit as the women of Salem stand in the aisle in a trance, disrobing.
Their greatest hit.
Yeah, well, that's all we know.
I thought they were getting up to leave. It's like, oh, fuck
This
this.
is not- yeah. You're not going to call me a whore and then expect me to stay for your show.
You
You're
played
lucky
this
the
last
show was
time.
free.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
this is it. The show's like, what are you, Cham?
Yeah.
It's like
the
one
one.
fucking song.
Cham is allowed.
They're allowed.
Cham's
it.
allowed.
They've earned it. But Heidi as well takes off her sweater and glasses and begins to vibe with the music. We cut to a rather beautiful and ornate room, remnants of Heidi's bedroom scattered all around as she sits on her bed. The coven recites, "We honor you with our actions and our thoughts. Each day that we live upon this earth, may we grow stronger in wisdom and in our love for you. You are our father, our teacher, our muse, our lover. We have taken your mark." So, to me, there's a lot of witchy stuff going on.
Yeah.
I feel like all the lines, if you look at them, they do make sense. There's not a line that you're like, oh, that's a little hacky. I think,
Right.
and maybe it's because Margaret is so good.
Yeah.
That
Or
you're-
Meg
you're just-
Foster's good.
Margaret is not good.
My
You're
bad.
just willing to
Yeah.
believe.
You're like,
yeah.
sure, man, I'll take
But
it.
either way, that's a credit to the film as well.
True.
Even if it's nonsense, but her saying it, it's like, oh, okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, all right.
That works. But at this moment, a loud screeching noise deafens Heidi, and we see a procession of nude women wearing black animal masks as a tall gray man stands at the center in papal robes. While a voice acknowledges the inevitability of death and extols the virtue of embracing Jesus Christ, we see a ton of imagery play out like something out of a music video. Heidi walking through a bathroom wearing a shirt asking, "Why the goat?" while dancing with a painted Count Gorgon. The gray pope and gray priests masturbating colorful dildos.
What the hell? I was like, not the 10 men beating the meat. I was like, what the fuck is going on? She's twerking with Gene Simmons. I'm like, what is happening?
The way let me get through it. Let me just get through this. But we also see members of the coven bathed in red light. The voice says that if you reject Christ and choose instead to ride the goat, you know what your agony will be. And at this point, we see Heidi riding a goat.
I mean, she's made her choice. We all want to live deliciously, honestly.
Write your name in the book.
Yes.
But the voice describes the hell that will be suffered as we see flames and crucified infants, melted angels, gray demons, and distorted faces burning. Margaret cackles as we see a neon crucifix burning with the words, "Jesus saves," written on it. So that was a lot, Robin.
Yeah.
It was indeed, yes.
My idea of it, and Rob Zombie kind of confirmed it, because we're seeing all these scattered images from things that she has seen throughout the film.
Right.
Her mind is kind of collapsing.
I mean, I feel like that's a fair assumption.
Now, I don't know the priest masturbating.
Yeah, that was just for her. Like that we never saw that.
No. It's like, you might have dreamed that before the film.
Yeah.
But I never saw that shit.
That was Heidi. That was on Heidi.
Was that the image to you that you were like,
I mean, already I was thrown off because we're dancing and we're like, I feel like all of this has been leading to getting Heidi here to this performance.
Mm-hmm.
And so the performance starts, everybody gets naked. We kind of move to a second location where her bedroom is. So already I'm a little confused. And then it's just chaos.
No, it is.
So yeah, the jerking off 10 men didn't help the situation, but I was already pretty confused before they decided to do that.
And so it didn't help or hurt, really.
It didn't. It may have hurt a little bit.
I feel like it kind of works for me. I will say that some of the images make sense and work, but like I said at the beginning, other images are just kind of here to be here.
They are. I feel like that's the only thing that, because I'm not somebody that's going to clutch their pearls and be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But when you get to a point where you're only doing shit to be shocking, then it's kind of like, okay, dude, we get it. Like, that's how I feel. It's not like I'm offended. It's just like, all right, they're jerking off. Great. I love it. Love it. What next?
You've bought in.
I mean, I got my free ticket. What else? We're riding a goat. Fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's just like, I feel like you want me to be appalled, and maybe because I'm just an asshole, my reaction to that is to be like, okay, here we are. This is what we've built up to. And I feel like that the end of this is my least favorite part, aside from one really, really beautiful visual that we have. And I'm not talking about the jerking off. Like,
if we could just go back to that.
If we could just hold here for a second. Not that. It's my least favorite part of the film. And I don't necessarily just mean like the fever dream piece.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole ending is just the least strong, the weakest. There we are.
Yes.
The weakest.
Yes.
I'm glad I bought you that thesaurus.
I got there.
I can't even say thesaurus, so the joke's on me too.
I got there.
You saying that makes it make sense a little more.
Okay.
But I still, I also, it hurt for me. It hurt everything that had just came before this, because again, why are you twerking on what was it again? Bigfoot, or what was going on?
It was Count Gorgon.
Count Gorgon, whatever.
You will respect the Count.
Whatever. It was just, I also felt that way. You saying that about her mind going whatever, okay.
That does make it better. I'm not going to lie.
That does help a little bit, but it also does feel like, again, let's cram a bunch of crazy shit in here.
And it is.
Just so that she can stick her tongue out and everybody's like, fuck yeah. No, why?
Everybody.
Well, I'm just like,
except
why?
JP.
Yeah, except for me. Fuck that. I just don't like, you could have accomplished that with a different way. Maybe show her slipping down into the 7 circle, or how many circles of hell there's 9 or 12 or however
Whatever
many
it is.
yeah. But you know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't.
I think the thing with Gorgon was because whenever she met him at first, she was mocking him the whole time.
Yeah.
And now, not only is she wearing his shirt,
She's like, no, we're gonna twerk.
well,
Like, that's a sign of friendship.
I guess.
Right, you don't got to sleep on the couch.
No.
Like,
I was going to say it was her embracing his ideology, but I guess
Got it.
twerking is another way
Yeah.
to signify that.
It's the utmost sign of respect.
People start greeting with twerks now.
Give it a year.
Business meetings.
Yeah.
But in a hell of crooked trees, the same ones that we met Beelzebub in earlier, Heidi walks to find the coven waiting for her. She lies down, Margaret telling her that their Lord Satan took her to the grave so that she could become the bread and the blood of revelation and revulsion. The coven paws at her as they speak in tongues, and blood pours from Heidi. They rub it all over her and themselves as Heidi gives birth to a crustacean-like infant with long, whipping tentacles and a long tail.
The miracle of life.
And then that's what we all look like.
That's what we all look like. It's amazing.
Wow.
So the scene where she's like blah, 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 with the is that her getting pregnant?
I believe so. That's how I interpreted it. Because if he's the demon of reproduction,
But also the
and
devil
she's
though.
fucking with his tentacles. Now what? Now that's the part. That's the part where you lose me. I will admit that is
What was
confusing.
that?
Oh,
What was that last part?
I believe you said the devil. I don't think. Yeah, no. That part is where I am lost. I will say, if he is the demon of reproduction, it makes a lot more sense.
yeah.
It makes a lot more sense.
And you already named him that.
Yeah.
Just let him be it. But operatic music plays as Margaret holds the baby to her chest, surrounded by flames. We cut to black, fading in on the 3 sisters kneeling and smiling in bright white light and peering up. All Tomorrow's Parties by the Velvet Underground begins to play, and we see Heidi standing with her eyes white, dressed in a shimmering white gown, wearing a crown, standing atop the corpses of the nude women of Salem.
This is beautiful. This
Gorgeous.
is what I was talking about.
It's brilliant.
The ending did not really do it for me, but this I really loved.
I will say that I would have cut it right there. It would have said written and directed by Rob Zombie. That's what I would have done. I would have done it right here. But for some reason, interspersed with that amazing visual are shots of Heidi playing in the park with Troy in Better Times. He loves doing this so much.
Yeah, we just talked about it in The Devil's Rejects.
We did.
And the thing is it can be effective. In The Devil's Rejects, it kind of made me feel emotional.
Right.
And they're all pieces of shit, but I was still like, oh.
Like, what is this salty discharge?
This, I'm like, I didn't get enough time to care about her. And what the fuck happened to Troy?
Yeah.
Like,
no,
we
yeah.
Like, oh yeah, she has that dog. I got to put something in there. What he had said, he goes, well, it's been so long since we've seen her happy. And I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah, but
we don't have to see it again.
I hate that actually because
Yeah.
the way that I thought of it was this is what's happening in her mind. She's kind of retreated to a place of peace. Rob Zombie just being like, well, we haven't seen her smile in a little bit.
To me,
That is awful.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
I thought that what's going on is that she is going to be worshipped as the kind of Antichrist's Virgin Mary. And that's the
Okay,
tableau.
yeah.
And I think that works, but then her playing with the dog. I'm
no,
like,
the,
what the fuck?
the dog though.
It's like when they made Elaine dance at on that video accidentally when she taped herself.
Yes.
It's like you've ruined the bootleg. Like, the lone dancer doesn't work for me. I don't think we need to see her playing with a dog.
That's how that's how I took it, but maybe I'm giving it too much credit if that's all he said it was. He's like, remember though, the dog?
Yeah. Troy was pretty cool.
That would have worked when her mind was supposed to be breaking.
Yes.
And it's like
Then
interspersed.
yes, and
with
then
that.
you can end on her being Miss Marvel now, and then
Like, not Miss Marvel.
Well, I mean,
like
come
her,
on,
like her trying to find clarity or
Yeah,
peace
and-
amidst all
yeah,
the horror.
and you can't.
That would have been
You're
great.
Yeah,
totally
I'm
right.
just-
You're totally fucking right.
That would have been
Yeah.
great. In my head, I skip forward like 10 seconds. I'm like, oh, written and directed by Rob Zombie. Very cool. Very cool. But during the credits, and among black and white shots of Salem, we get a news break from WIQZ. The newsman says that the dead bodies of 32 women of Salem's Historical Lifer Society were discovered this morning by a custodian of the Salem Palladium in what appears to be a mass suicide. The custodian says that he thought that they were mannequins at first, but then realized that they were real.
They're never mannequins.
No, they're not.
They're never mannequins.
Always real people. The thing is, though, that gets me is that if they had been able to keep in the stuff with Sid Haig and Barbara Crampton and all that and Macy Mather, we would have kind of had that connection to the past.
Yeah.
And this, I love it being a surprise at the end, so I'm a little torn, but I would like to have these connections established sooner.
Yeah.
All right.
But hearing at the end that all these women were related to fucking those evil men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I call them evil men, but they were literally like trying to end the world. But
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is literally at the very beginning, I'm like, man, fuck these dudes, but they're all
Yeah.
like Satan, demons,
Yeah.
whores. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, well,
somehow,
maybe.
somehow I'm still on their side. I don't know. I just love witches, I guess. I don't know what's going on. But the newsman says that the society's members are all descendants of the founders of Salem, and police have no motive for their deaths, but the mayor is going to meet with the family's victims and address this tragedy. They say in a related story, police have no leads in the disappearance of Adelheid Hawthorne, better known as Heidi LaRock, who has been missing since attending the Lords of Salem event. The voice fades, and over black and white shots of Salem, the credits roll.
Maybe she lives next door to you.
She doesn't.
Okay.
JP won't allow it.
Yeah, no.
But I have to ask, what did you guys think of the Lords of Salem?
So this one was like I said earlier, it was off and on for me, and the ending really did not work for me.
Really?
And it hurt it so much for me. I was more just kind of confused, and I was like, I don't know why you did that. Like I didn't see that last shot as like, to me again, but I mean, maybe it was just the whole Miss Marvel thing. But like, I was just like, I don't understand what. I don't know, man. It just didn't finish the job for me. It left me half chub. If that's,
Come on. Half chub.
So you weren't
that's
like
the new
those
ratings
10
now.
men.
Yeah.
No, those 10 men.
Those 10 men, yeah, no. But see, like even that.
That's the new rating.
Even that. I get it. Okay, but in reality, if they're demons, why are you having to be safe with dildos? Why aren't you just pulling out your own?
Well, we don't have to get into that.
I'm just saying though.
Where are the actual dicks?
I really doubt that demons are like, we're gonna censor our penises for everybody.
Well, the color.
But
I'm
it
sure
was a pop of color.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said pop.
It was a pop of color.
You guys are leading me down a path.
But it does. It's got a lot of really cool shots. The music was good. Like the story, there was a story.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it. What really hurt it too for me is my lack of giving a shit about any of them. Like, yeah, bad stuff's happening, but then that too, they're bad witches. How do you want me to root for you, or at the end to be like, yeah, yeah, in your case. Yeah. Like, it's just, I get the whole cheer for the villain and anti-hero and whatever. Like, I get it.
Uh-huh.
But to me, this did not make me want to root for them to take over the world. I did not at one time was like, yeah, fuck these people. You know what I mean? Get your revenge. It was like, wow, you guys.
It's like they don't deserve this.
Yeah, no. It's like, you guys were trying to fuck us over. Oh, what are you talking about?
I really don't know if there's supposed to be anyone to root for. I think the only Well, I mean, Heidi didn't really do anything that bad.
She didn't do anything bad.
Like at all.
Senator Kelly was just trying to be nice and help.
Yeah, he was.
What's her buddies? Both the Hermans were cool.
They were cool.
Yeah.
What really were they doing to hurt anybody?
Yeah.
You're licking babies and spitting in their face, and I mean,
No,
what?
it was a lot. It was a lot.
I mean,
It's pretty cruel.
Yeah.
I'd say.
come on. You know what I mean? But it is nice to see a change from House of 1,000 Corpses and 3 from Hell and whatever. Like whatever. I don't. I'm okay. This was a good change of pace for that.
Okay.
I did tell your sister, and I don't know if it's just maybe his style of making movies that I'm not into. I don't know what it is, but I loved it, and then it would be like any little thing that happened, I'm like, no, fuck that. and I know now as we talk about it, I was like, oh, that I probably shouldn't have been as upset about that as I was when I watched it. But still, it was like, I was like, man, this could have been, I don't want to say better in a bad way, but like I feel like this could have been tightened up.
It could have been.
Or like the church scene. We don't need that. Give us some more something for me to relate to these characters. You know what I mean? Or to relate to anybody else or to anything to make me give a shit about what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? It was just that that was like the main thing was that. If I don't care about these characters, I don't really care what's happening to you. And then having to get her from one point to another and then just doing it and then the weird dream cuts, but all that just to kind of say like it was better for me than our last previous watches of Rob Zombie movies. But it just kind of fell a little short for me. It did. I won't even lie. I did enjoy that hallway a lot.
Yes.
I did enjoy the witches being there and nobody noticing them. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
The door being open and the silhouette passing by. The red fucking room with just a single light. There was a lot of cool shit going on.
Uh-huh.
But then you do something else and backdoor it with, for me, something that didn't work. So now you're just negating everything that you just showed me that I did like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh man, it's like, why? It's like, why'd you do that?
You were right there.
Yeah, and I feel like really it was just the end. And I mean the devil's a turnip or a spud or like
A tannis root.
root.
A tannis root.
Are you talking about the lobster?
The baby at the end.
I think that's the Antichrist. And I think that he's gonna maybe be a full-grown lobster.
I thought it was the squid baby from
God
Men in
willing.
Black. No, I mean I was confused.
The creatures were a little strange.
They
Well,
were.
but I mean, I feel like it would have been less impactful if she's like a bouncing baby boy.
That's
like,
scarier.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I mean,
because
I can't
But that's just the
tell.
omen.
Yeah,
but the omen was scary.
Yeah,
he borrowed from everything else.
Yeah. Well, maybe as the Antichrist grows up, he sucks in the tentacles, starts looking a little more like a little boy. I don't know, or a little girl.
Yeah, no.
Who knows?
Who knows,
Yeah.
guys? No, I agree with you. I feel like the ending, I think I was just maybe expecting too much because I was really pleasantly surprised by most of this film. I feel like you said, some really fucking beautiful set pieces.
Yeah.
As far as like acting, dialogue, it is head and shoulders above.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really, really impressed. It is shockingly cohesive. And so I'm really expecting us as we're like, going toward this finishing line for it. I think I just wanted, I don't know. And I don't want to say more because I really liked that imagery of her kind of being like a deity or like, I mean, I like that. Maybe it was just getting us there because we like, I want to say most of the film, a lot of the film is a dream.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Although, how much of a dream?
I don't know.
If it's planted there by the witches, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it the Tannis root?
You've not explained it.
Oh, fair enough.
I
did drink their wine, and then shit started going haywire.
She did.
Okay.
That
That
is
could be
true.
part of it.
I wish that motivations were just a little more clear. I wish characters were a little more defined, but I will give him a point for the characters mostly being normal fucking human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like some of the people that he has in here are legendary and they're kind of underutilized. But there is a lot to like. It's like this one's really difficult because as much didn't work for me, did. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I just really was like, okay, Rob Zombie, you got me, bitch. Like, I'm in. And then we walked together and it's like, oh, okay. I don't know.
See, I'm kind of flabbergasted because for me, I feel like if you take out the playing with the dog at the park,
Okay.
the ending is one of my favorite parts of the film.
I think maybe it was the execution. I don't know I don't hate what happened at all.
Uh-huh.
I just maybe don't like the execution of it. Or maybe it could be a little more clear that this is just her descent into madness. Or maybe it did anybody even tell her that she came from Judge Hawthorne?
Oh, she never found out.
No shit,
Yeah.
too. He never said why this was happening.
Can I at least know why this is happening? I feel like
Well, I mean, when Margaret's on stage, she says about their ancestors, but she could have pointed out Heidi specifically.
That's what I'm saying.
She did calling her the one, but she could have said, and you're great,
Exactly.
great.
The horrors of what, and I was like, is that a band? I don't like what the fuck.
I think that's maybe where it was lacking for me. It was just like, I don't want it over explained, but I would like maybe our main character to have some semblance of what the fuck's going on. I feel like they used her sobriety as kind of like a prop, and I don't really like that either because it's like she fell off the wagon for what? Like for what?
I don't know.
I mean, if you could use that as, oh, you're using again, of course you're seeing weird shit or whatever. That didn't even happen. So it was like, I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff here, but I don't know. It's just a little lacking. I'm just going to keep rambling until you start talking.
Well, I'll take over. It's fine. Take a nap, Nick.
Good night.
No, I think this is a very interesting film. It is very, very different from everything, even since from Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
It's kind of been reappraised a bit because at the time of its release, as we said, mixed critical reception. It, from what it says on the box office, made for $1.5 million, made $1.5 million.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, and it upsets me, and it's one of those things I arrived at independently and then saw other people sharing a similar opinion. I feel like this movie might have come out maybe like 4 years too early. If this was coming out at the same time as The Witch and like A24.
That's a really fair point. Yeah.
I feel like this has a better chance of being seen in the way that it was meant to be seen.
All right.
But I think this film from Rob Zombie in 2012 is kind of strange.
Okay.
And that's unfortunate and unfair to the film.
Yeah.
That's a really fair point.
I'm glad people are revisiting it and seeing it differently.
Yeah.
Because I did the exact same thing.
Right.
But I think that with everything in it, this movie was kind of made for me.
Right.
And it's one of those things where it's a pleasant surprise because when you're so used to a certain style from a certain director, for them to just flip it on its ear and be like, no, we're doing this.
And he did.
And he did.
And you have to commend that because he did succeed in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think, and I hope this isn't true, but I know that with the reception that he got for this, although he doesn't even really give a shit, which I respect.
Yeah.
This is kind of the most mature film, as we had said in the past.
Okay.
But he hasn't made anything like this since, and that bums me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see him flex this muscle a little bit more because there is some great shit here.
Yeah.
It just feels like a couple of the balls were dropped.
I think maybe Supernatural might be his wheelhouse, whether or not he wants to
admit it or not.
Yeah.
Because it is good.
It's good.
Yeah.
But I guess we can move into ratings.
Right.
For me, the positives, I really like the story, that it does make sense. If you go back and watch it, you're like, okay, this means this, that's that. And then there are things that are kind of just planted in there as like more of a style thing. But I feel like more often than not, everything has a purpose. And that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
For this film, I think that it's just such a pleasant surprise that it almost like boggles my mind that I like this film as much as I do.
All right.
But I think that the cinematography is great.
Oh,
the music, fantastic. This weird blend of Kubrick, Argento, Carpenter, Lynch, I guess Ken Russell, as he had said.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll take his word for it. I think it's just an excellent blend. It's like a perfect dark roast. I love it so much. And Meg Foster, man,
Phenomenal. Yeah, she's great.
seeing how much she put into the role and how much she really embodies Margaret Morgan.
Yeah.
I've had trouble saying that all day.
You have
I've said Morgan. I've said
Margaret.
It doesn't matter. But I think that the imagery and the ideas really sell it. Even if on the negative side, the imagery and the ideas, some of them aren't as fleshed out as they could be.
Yeah.
I do think there's a lot of stuff from the novel I would have liked to have seen in this film. More of Barbara Crampton.
Of course. And Sid Haig.
Yes.
And Michael Berryman.
It would be very interesting to see his full vision on film.
Yeah.
And it sucks that a lot of it didn't even get filmed, so it's not like there's deleted scenes of it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just not there. I also think that the ending could have been perfect if they had ended it on that tableau.
Yeah.
Because that shot's amazing.
Without the dog in it.
Yeah, no dog. No dog. And even the stuff over the end credits.
The stuff at the end. Yeah.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
leave it alone. Yeah.
I personally, I don't even mind that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you have it to where it ends on that tableau and then it's almost like a mid-credit scene of what Salem reacting to this.
Okay.
And they're like, we found bodies at the
Yeah.
Palladium? Sure.
Yeah.
And then the film ends on those shots of Salem. Great. But that dog, I was like, we don't need. And no offense to Troy if he's listening, but you're a good boy. I feel like they just really could have, they had it.
Yeah.
And then they did drop that, which is unfortunate. But for me, on a scale from 1 to 10, disturbingly devilish dreams, I am going to give The Lords of Salem, and this might shock you.
I'm ready to give you the face that you gave me on 13 Ghosts.
Okay. 8 disturbingly devilish dreams out of 10.
All right.
The more I've watched this movie, I think it's grown from, because I hated it at first.
Yeah.
Then I liked it. Then I really liked it. And I think the more it continues, I think I'm going to end up loving this movie.
All right.
And there are those shortcomings.
Yeah.
We can't ignore them. But I feel like the swing is admirable enough, even if there are a few misses.
No, yeah, I can agree with that.
But I'll be quiet, and I will now open the floor to you.
I do agree with that. Like the shots are great, the music's great, everything. Like there is a story. Like I said, what really hurt it for me was the ending and I don't care about these characters. Like nothing made me want to give a shit about her being abducted by these witches other than that's not cool. You know what I mean? Like really, I don't know anything about her. I don't know anything about her past until we get the drug problem get brought up. And again, like your sister said, that feels really used. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, maybe give us something beforehand. You know what I mean? Something like a hint or whatever. And I didn't even think about that till before, till y'all said something. She was drinking in the scene before that. So it was like, what the fuck? So are we partying now or are we trying to?
Well, I guess it's just from, what was it, heroin?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just felt a little cheap to kind of, I don't know.
No, I mean, and I get it. And I mean, as someone who has had a drinking problem before, it is very easy to drink and then fall back into old habits. So I would feel like if you're trying to stay away from those old habits, maybe alcohol is not the best thing to introduce into your life. But I mean, that's something different. But you know what I mean? But yeah, the movie was just that. It seemed like every time it picked me up, there was something to bring me back down. You know what I mean? Back down to reality. It's like, oh, you're enjoying this a little too much. It's like, oh, hold on. It's like, whoa, hold on now. I was like, calm down. It's like, all right. But I did like this movie more than I did the other ones. And I will agree, if he did something else that was like this, I'd be more excited to go watch it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Okay. Oh, like this? Bet that. You know what I mean? Let's go see that. I'll pay to go watch it in the theater. You know what I mean? If it's like this.
Yeah.
This movie was better than the previous ones we've watched of his. And I'm not big on his filmography and what he does. But yeah, this was better than what I've seen. So for me, on a scale from 1 to 10, disturbingly devilish dreams, I'm gonna give Lords of Salem a 6.
Wow.
It is, there is good stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
There is, like I said, watching it, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, that looks really good, or oh, that's cool. And there was parts where I was just literally sitting there watching the movie because I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
But then again, for everything good, there's something else to be like, no, I was just playing, come here. I was like, you bitch, you had me. Yeah, I was like, come on. But if I wouldn't even go as far as to tell anybody not to watch it.
Okay.
I would say if you've never seen it, at least give it a chance. Watch it once, see what you think about it. If you like it, sweet. If you don't, I get it too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it isn't a movie to be overlooked. At least give it a chance.
It's one of those that I think that it's kind of a shame that Rob Zombie is such a polarizing figure in horror.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of people will come into it with kind of preconceived notions.
Yeah.
And maybe not like it before they even start it.
Yeah.
That's what really sucks.
Yeah.
Is because sometimes people's names get bigger than their work.
Yeah.
And if you're just like, oh, I hate his stuff, you're going to look for shit to pick apart. You know what I mean? For me, I was like, okay, Rob Zombie. It impressed me more.
Yeah.
I think both of you guys have some really good points. This one is really difficult. It's interesting that you said that you didn't like it the first time you saw it and how much it's grown on you, because it really does seem like one of those films that if you sit with it or if you revisit it, you're gonna like develop a fondness for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I wish that I had a little more time. Not wish. Sorry, Anthony Jerome.
Yeah, don't waste.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It would be nice.
There you go.
If I had a little bit more of a relationship with this film before watching it for this.
Right.
Because there is something weirdly special about it. Even the parts that don't necessarily work for me.
Yeah.
It is really cool to see somebody bring their vision to life. Even if it's not fully what he wanted to do, to have the creative freedom to just be like, we're going to make this crazy ass story about these witches and this radio DJ, and we're going to have 10 men jerking off.
Oh, come on.
Like, I mean, he really...
Now you're saying men made of 10.
Yeah.
Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Right.
8,
See,
9, 10.
I live in Texas. The
It's
words
kind
sound
of-
the same.
Yeah.
Some 10 man jerking off. But yeah, even like I said, even the parts that don't work for me, the part in the church, the weird shit with the dog at the end.
I love that we're really harping on that.
Because it's jarring.
It was so perfect.
And that's the end of the film. But again, there are so many fucking like shockingly beautiful visuals.
Yeah.
Shockingly beautiful set pieces, like framings of shot. Like I'm impressed, truly impressed. I just feel like I need more Ken Foree. I don't need the scene in the church. I need a little more motivations for the landlady and
Her sisters.
A lot of it's confusing. I was mad at one aspect of it when Francis's wife is playing the song and she's fine. I was like, okay, so why isn't it? She's not from here.
Yeah.
True.
So that took me a full day later to be like, oh, that wasn't a plot hole.
And that took me asking your sister for her to, because I was like, that don't make no fucking sense.
They did ask her, or they ask Francis in the apartment. They ask about his wife, and he says, I think she's from Argentina.
Yes.
Something, yeah.
So that it's in the script there.
So
explain
yeah, even stuff
which
like
is
that,
so cool.
where
Yeah.
it's like, well, if that happened to me, I'd get up and leave, and she gets up and leave. I'm like,
All
okay,
right.
well, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even be mad.
Yeah.
I feel like this is something I probably will enjoy more with repeated viewings, and I will watch it again. This isn't something that I watched and I'm like, okay, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
Like, I will revisit it. It's a weird little fucking movie that I completely overlooked. Like,
Yeah.
I'd never seen this before. T was like, can we please put this on the schedule?
I'm just glad you guys wanted or
Yeah.
allowed me to.
But all that being said, on a scale from 1 to 10, disturbingly devilish dreams, and this is hard because there's a lot I don't like,
Yeah.
but there's a lot that I really fucking do.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the Lords of Salem 7 out of 10
Disturbingly
devilish drinks. I just said it 2 seconds ago. There is a lot of greatness here. It's like when you go shopping at Ross and you like, I know there's fucking gold, but I'm going to have to dig through some shit.
Yeah.
It's like that.
All right.
An interesting way to put
But
it.
there is gold.
I will say I totally understand the people that don't like it. I do want to say that because there is a lot of stuff that I see that could be off-putting.
Yeah.
But I am glad that you both gave it a shot, a fair shot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and seem to enjoy it. I do hope that now Rob Zombie and I can be friends. That's all I want.
I don't know if this quite makes up for all the other stuff.
Hey, there wasn't that much.
Don't reach out to him until after we cover Halloween.
We'll talk, Rob. Well, that's all from us at Pod Mortem. What would you rate the Lords of Salem, and what should we watch next? Let us know on Twitter at the Pod Mortem. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook. Be sure to follow each of us on Twitter at TravisMWH, at Blood and Smoke, and at RealStreeter84. Please consider pledging to our Patreon and stay tuned until after the music for a special thank you to our Wendigo Getter patrons. And remember, though we can't pick our family, try to be the roots that allow branches to thrive. Until next time. Thank you for staying tuned. We want to give a very special thank you to all of our Wendigo Getter patrons.
Woo!
Yeah.
You had no choice.
I had to.
Special thank you to Chris Ontiveros, Kristen Lofton, Megan Martinez, Kimberly Bass, Sophie Hodson, Anthony Jerome M., Jordan Nash, Kent Morton, Guy54, Lala Thomas, Travis and Nisa Hunter, Miguel Myers ATX, Jennifer Perez, Pierre Lombard, Allison O'Neill, Carissa, TJ and Angie Bronson, Gabrielle Trevino, Spooky Mom, Andy Teague, Applin Ontiveros, Karima Rhodes, Antonio Huerta, Kimberly Kleindienst, Will Brown, Sydney Smith, Osvaldo Soto, Jonathan Booth, Bobby Holmes, Donna Eason,
JD Rizak, Molly Gerhart, Armand Spasto, Aaron Aguirre, Eggy, William Barry, Brittany Ramatar, Charity Oxner, Amanda Six, Mandy Rainwater, Eden, Jordan Roberts, Dylan, Melissa Sierra, Holly Bryan, Jordan Blevins, Liz Heath, Spencer Montalvo, Pancake the Panda, John Ramos, Michael Newting, Alexis Roberts, Dan Laveau, Itzy M, Gary Horton, Amanda Aliff, Leisha Olivier, Kate Lamp, Carlos and Sydney, Jessica Hunter,
Helena Rudder, Alan Johnston, Mariah, Levy Fun, Mandy M, Scott Troutman, Mozzie Bear, Brittany G, Dave Burke, Adrian Stakes, Craig Kowalski, Beth, Nick Spill, Emma Hagel-Kissinger, Ashley Weidman, Angelica Cornelius Witt, Valerie G, JSL, Emiliana, Brian Glass, CB, Maya Noches, Taylor Santana, Will Lewison, Angelique, Smelly Poo Poo Head, Beth Bauer, Ben Coons,
Cookie, Esperanza J, Jace OKC, Joshua Rumley, Danielle Peralta, Hannah R, Brandon, Nicholas Carter, Sawyer Reese Farr, Dr. Diva Loves Horror, Girl That's Scary, M. Fryback, and Cassandra.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you.
We truly appreciate all your support, and I've never said this before ever, but I would like to thank you all for hanging with us.
All right.
They're witches in the fucking film, dude. I don't know what you want me to do. Until next time.